Does anybody know what buttons I'm supposed to press here? God damn it, there's too many. It's not good. Why did he not do this for old people? It's not easy, you know. God damn it.
We'll have to get you an instruction manual later.
Any messages for me from the White House?
Not a thing, Dr. Stone. But you have it.
The set you've just seen is the nerve center of a secret 5-story underground laboratory, which is the star of the Andromeda Strain, my new film for Universal, which is based on last year's best-selling novel. It's the story of the world's first space-age crisis.
We see bodies, lots of them.
Stage or stations, hit that security button.
We need a flyby over Piedmont, New Mexico. Infrared, a FLIR scan, all sectors, film to come direct to scoop.
Too bad he can't tell us what happened.
Maybe he can, if he lives.
I recommend calling a wildfire alert.
Yes?
I just wanted to inform you that all members of your team have been cleared and are now being called in.
No other way to halt the infection spread.
Are you sure the old man and the baby are still alive?
It's growing.
What the hell are you doing?
Turn off the oxygen, put him on room air.
No, the air is thick with Andromeda. Experiment with your own life, damn it.
Andromeda will spread everywhere. They'll never be rid of it.
There are now 5 minutes to self-destruct.
The core's equipped for safeguard.
What would my chances be in there?
Well, they don't exist for anyone anywhere if you stay here.
Hey, Doc! You ain't leaving us here, are you?
And that's it. The movie's over. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Are we live yet? So
that was a
good
great
evening.
episode, guys. Thanks a lot, man.
It was 3 minutes of pure tension. I think we can all agree that was one of the best movies we've ever seen. Time to move on.
I showed up late in the last 10 minutes. They wouldn't let me sit down.
Good afternoon. Good golly, Miss Molly. Oh, shit. I can't hear this shit anymore. Fucking masks.
2 years.
Did somebody say these things worked? We're going to get banned for that shit now. It's all over now.
You done messed up now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm awfully pleased to see you all here for another edition of It's Talking Well. We have an action-packed show for you today. We have a panel of heavyweights, and I mean that not in a weight kind
figurative
of
sense, but literal.
Mental heavyweights, I would say. We have.
So you're saying we're slow? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Some of the most sciencey minds in the country who identify as lab technicians. So we're
need him for this one.
I identify as the test monkey.
Yeah, that's right. You know what your fate's going to be then, mate. You're done.
Wow,
you're toast.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about that trailer was when the guy goes, press the security button. He presses it and a red light comes on that says security. That's it. I mean, that's
how you know you're working in a government facility.
We have security.
Yeah, that's right. The audience needs to know that there is security. If it doesn't do anything else, just a red light comes on.
That's how you know you're working at a government facility. Fancy lights turn on, but nothing else happens.
Yeah, and we've probably got some good comments to come later about that when we see that facility, because I have a few pointed comments about the usefulness of some of the stuff in there. But yeah, welcome everybody. I'm super pleased to Soul Assassin 70 surrounds himself with top men and bottom men. Actually, both are included. We do not exclude anybody on this show. So I had a fantastic crowd. I'd like to say hello to the chat. 17 of you are already here watching. The people have got nothing better to do on a Monday afternoon, and I appreciate you spending that nothing better with us. So thank you. So we have Lord Thoth, my Canadian friend, the wonderful D. Bud Martin, and thank those guys for modding as well. We have Vince Womack. Greetings to you, sir. Sean Estep. We have Sentient Dildo, our oppressor from the East, who nonetheless is a fantastic mod and a great supporter of many of our channels. Thank you, sir, for being here. Liger fan, always lovely to see you. We have Anima Confusa, great to see you. Darius Munchausen, who I'm hoping will join us as the co-executive assistant producer. Whatever that does.
You can add any more to that title?
I don't know. I'm thinking of more. The assistant to the co-executive producer of the second unit. We have Vince, we said. It's Courtney, who can't join us today as she's doing an exam. Apparently she has tests. So, or maybe it's different tests. Anyway, good luck to you, my dear. Mila, or is it Mila?
Hey, Mila.
Mila, it's Mila. Parrothead, my good friend who sends me all sorts of weird pictures, and I appreciate every one of them. The wonderful Magitech Mags is here, who is my buddy on many channels. Who am I missing? We have Soul Assassin. We have others who I'm sure we'll get to soon. But thank you all for being here to watch this video on. We are gathered here today, in fact, to watch, but in a socially distanced manner, of course, to consider an outrageous scenario, one in which the entire human race is apparently threatened by an out-of-control and virulent virus of unspecified origin. But the scenario, leaving aside current affairs, which will get us banned, the scenario in the story is actually one that people are worried about, which is that some form of viral life could land on Earth from space and wreak havoc with us. So the people, they've always been into this since the start of the space program, hence the quarantining of astronauts and so on. That what could they bring back? Of course, as it turns out in the movie, they were probably trying to bring it back. So it's the 1971 techno thriller, The Andromeda Strain, of course, and hopefully my steamy panel today will not be making you ill as we discuss this often overlooked hard science fiction classic. Gentlemen, I assume you have started your engines and you've all seen this movie recently, or indeed in the past.
Oh, I don't have to. I love the movie, and I've seen it so many times.
I just watched it for the first time. Just finished it a half an hour before I got on here.
Yeah, I watched it.
I knew about the film. I knew it was one of Michael Crichton's. You know,
it was his first novel under his name.
Yeah, under his own name. Yeah, and he is credited with being the first techno thriller. I think he tried to turn that title down.
Yeah, techno thriller, but he was inspired by the Ipcris file because he had just read it and written a review for it, and it blew his mind because he was over in England at the time, and so he penned this novel right after reading Ipcris file.
Wow.
Yeah, another one that I recall from a few years before this that I loved when it first came on TV as a kid was The Satan Bug. Which is a fantastic, I think it's an Alistair MacLean thriller. That one was pretty good, although it had a more of a secret agent twist to it than just the virus thing.
I was fixed to say Alistair MacLean. That doesn't sound like his genre. It's more his stuff is more.
It's more or less the MacGuffin
Commando
story.
It's the MacGuffin, yeah. The bug was the MacGuffin, but it still came across as very frightening as a young chap watching this stuff on television, which I had to see it on TV. I was too young to go to the cinema, even in 70. Well, I went to kids' movies, but to go see this when I was in 71. Not that it's a R or anything; it's just a G or general or PG.
Although, because I saw the movie, I was little. I went with because if my parents were to go to a movie, they would usually take us kids because they didn't want to pay for a babysitter. They're cheap. It's cheaper to take us to the movies for like 50 cents than to pay for a babysitter for the night.
Yeah.
And that movie scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It really did. Because I understood what was going on and it was scaring me.
Well,
it was scary.
What probably would make it a lot more scarier, and like I said, I just finished it. It's shot kind of like that classic science fiction one in a documentary style, where you see the events as they unfold.
Ultra realistic. Nothing looks like a movie set. And the other thing, because I brought it up earlier, is it was one of the first films I recall where you are seeing from the monster killer's point of their perspective. So when the disease is moving, the camera's moving and you're following it, and that scared the shit out of me.
That bit in particular, Gary, where it pulses, it seems to grow and pulse. That was probably the most effective bit.
Yeah. It was such a well done film. And they did it they shot it within a year of the book coming out, because it came out in 69. They shot the film in 70 and released it in 71. And it was shot for like a 6.5 million or something like that. And the thing made its money way back. They doubled their returns on that, which in 70s dollars, that's upward closer to, what the fuck would that be, Keith? Come on, you're the mathematician.
Am I?
I don't know. Somebody has to be.
Just multiply it by 10 and you're probably close enough.
Yeah, the film did well. I mean, it was one of those movies that ended up doing its job of scaring a whole generation of people, including me, because I was way too young to see this when it came out. So I remember.
Yeah, you were 2 years younger than me, or 4 years younger. 4 years younger than me.
Yeah,
I was only 6 when it came out. So
yeah, I was about that. Yeah, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. But yeah, it scared the shit out of me, and I'm sure it did a lot of people. I believe it's certain doctors that have been prominent recently. It was their favorite movie of all time. I think they thought it was an instructional manual, but again, skating on thin ice here. Sorry, but
look out.
So before we go any further, I'd just like to say to the chat, I will do my best as we continue to highlight your comments, and please send them in and your thoughts on the movie as we go and all that good stuff. And I'll certainly do my best to highlight those. As you know, I'm old and slow, so that may be, I got to control this mob, so that might be difficult. And there will be images, and we have the film on video still format coming up later soon.
Okay, 1 million is worth 7 million today. I just checked.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to introduce the panel first, though, because I like to do that. Because Hale Clobby, let me know if you want to come on, mate. It's always good to see you.
Yeah.
Clobby, I'm
brother
sure
from
knows
Louisiana.
This movie.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure he knows this movie pretty well. So yeah, I always like to say hello to my panel and introduce them one by one. We'll start with our very good friend Imperatus. How are you,
what
sir?
the fuck happened just now?
I'm good.
I don't know why it felt like a dime store version of that crazy tunnel from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Maybe.
It's entirely possible.
It's my nightmare.
You're all right, mate.
What the fuck is happening?
I heard you were working today, so thank you for joining us after that.
Not a problem. Like I always enjoy being here. I like sharing my takes on things with you guys, since most of them seem to go over moderately well. Takes.
Well,
takes.
I know that we were talking beforehand, and you have some views on this movie, which I actually don't disagree with. And I think,
don't get me wrong with everything I'm going to say today. I enjoyed the movie. Just it was so goddamn dry, and not.
It's dry.
It's not that I expected like a whole lot of action out of this movie, because I knew what it was and the topic and the plot and everything, but it was. And maybe it was just the era it was filmed. It's hard to say.
No, it had a lot to do with the director, Robert Weiss, because that's the way Robert Weiss approaches certain things. If you look back at his films from like in the 50s, he did The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Right. I enjoy that movie too.
That movie is dry as fuck.
Yeah, it is, but it's also good.
Watch his war film, The Sand Pebbles. And it's dry too for a war film. And
then obviously there was the Sound of Music.
I was fixing to say he made the best picture of the year I was born, 65.
The Sound of Music made a lot of people dry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
the guy, when it comes to science fiction, he likes the science part. That's why Star Trek: The Motion Picture is the driest of all the Star Trek films.
Did he direct that too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, motion picture, which is
I was gonna say this movie kind of gave me that kind of same vibe.
Yeah,
and even the the color palettes and like how the camera was focused and stuff like that kind of seems similar.
Well, I kind of confused myself because I saw the name and I was like, oh hey, isn't this the guy that did House on Haunted Hill?
Oh yeah.
Oh no,
he did The Haunting. I think.
Did he do The Haunting?
Yeah, Robert Weiss did The Haunting.
Okay, I confused it with.
I'm going to talk about a few of those. Yeah,
even though I love the House on Haunted Hill.
So Star Trek: The Motion Picture, of course, is as dry as Hillary Clinton's twat. So that's sorry, getting political again. But anyway, I've got some more guests to introduce. If one of them would shut up from talking, I'd be able to introduce them.
Just when I thought I was out, he had me on the floor and had his mouth over my asshole. A shit eater? I don't think so. He was after my soul.
We have Gary and Keith from Pop Culture Minefield. Gentlemen.
Ozzy and Elvis.
Now, I want to just reassure everyone in the panel and on the chat that Gary, for your safety, he will be masked and indeed muzzled today and fully restrained. So, for our safety, of course. So, Keith, how are you, mate?
I am good. I am honored to be here with everyone. And, of course, it's a Michael Crichton movie and book we're going to be discussing. So, this is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, I love Michael Crichton, and especially in his latter years when he wound some people up the wrong way. I enjoyed that immensely. Yeah, it's good to see you, mate. You're always welcome, of course. It's don't let Gary steal your spot. It's your spot. He's just keeping it warm.
Gary is the more adventurous of the two of us. He's the warm Santa Claus-y type. And I'm kind of like the elf that will come in with like, okay, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it, Santa.
So Gary's more of that scary, bad Santa that kids really don't want to sit in their lap.
Keith is actually, he would be that guy that would be the fact totem in the classroom, and I would be the ass clown. That
he's the fact
knows
totem,
a lot of stuff.
And you were the fat totem.
No, I was skinny. I was scrawny as a kid. What's funny is like when I was in middle school, my teacher got yelled at by one of my buddies. He says, "Well, you always let Gary mess around after doing the test." She goes, "He gets straight A's."
All right.
So
he's earned that. Okay, he's earned that. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
By the way, we were
of
talking a minute ago. Was it you, Joe? Who was it that brought up the cinematography in this?
Well, I think we're going to talk about that in detail later, but yeah,
I was talking about the fact it was shot documentary style.
Okay, it's it was the comment that it was very similar in style, and the reason why is Richard H. Klein was his cinematographer for almost everything.
Okay,
and I forgot to mention him.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more panelists to get through. If I can get Gary to stop talking.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I thought you brought him here to talk.
I'm so sorry.
Confused.
So who's next?
I know when to shut up.
It's our good friend Pope Metallicus the first. Are you now Pope Metallicus the second? Now the Queen is dead.
I mean, I don't think it changes my number, but then again, I've gone through like 4 of them now, and like depending on what platform you're on, I'm either like the first through like the 4th, I think.
You've been through 4 Queens. Besides that, didn't Queen die right around 1990, 93, something like that?
Yeah. Well, indeed, I think certain
Was
politicians.
that too soon? Was that too soon to make a Freddie Mercury joke?
They're still going though. Who's their new lead singer?
No, they're not.
No,
they're not still going.
No,
that's not Queen.
No, let's not talk about it. So, Pope, how are you, my friend?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. This is my weekend, so I'm happy. You know, Monday, Tuesday's my weekend, and I've only got 2 more weeks of work left, and I'm free.
Outstanding.
So YouTube will be going up again. So, but yeah, good to have you here as always, mate. And then, of course, we have another stalwart of the panel.
Oh, what an atmosphere! I love a party with a happy atmosphere.
Our good friend Joe's Atmosphere. How are you, Joe?
The disco rocker. What's happening, man? How are you?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's good to have you guys here. It's you're a lovely looking panel. That's all I can say. You're gorgeous.
I'd rather be here than in Seattle tonight, where my boy is going to come back home and beat his old team's butt to death. So
well, yes, you're talking sports ball. I see.
Yeah, sports ball. That's what I'm dressed for. Is later after the stream, I get to watch my team get crushed by their old quarterback.
Well, we could make the stream last for 12 hours if you wanted, and you wouldn't see it. So.
There you go. Let's go. Yeah, let's go for 6, and we'll make sure overtime's covered and everything. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks for being here, mate. Really appreciate it, and thanks to you all in the chat too. Clobby, as I say, if you were keen to come in, let me know. But so just to sort of preamble a little bit, I wanted to share a few images. So first of all, as you know, toxic man flu did appear in this film.
He can't keep getting away with this.
You know, man. What the heck?
He was the virus. It's a shame he's not here in the chat to comment on that. But toxic was indeed the original source of the problem in this movie. So. Now it's funny. I did run a poll on my website about this movie, asking what this movie should be. We should cover today, and this film was the Andromeda Strain was chosen, but I was a bit disappointed because the other choices were Debbie Does Dallas, Mondo Topless, and Double Agent 73. So I'm really disappointed in my channel subscribers because they picked the Andromeda Strain. I really thought it was a bit of a slam dunk, but you know.
You should have added Debbie Does Dishes.
Debbie Does Dishes. Debbie makes sandwiches.
It's a real movie. It happened.
I'm ashamed of you all, chat. How dare you?
I know. I gave them every chance, and they proved that they were not misogynistic. Whatever. But and there's been lots of covers of these. The one I've got is the Blu-ray I've got is the cheap one. Although the expensive one that you can see the cover of on the screen now is hardly got anything different to the cheaper one. So I just went for that one. You know, if there's no real, there's not a steelbook or any kind of real packaged one with lots of extras, unfortunately. Partly because everybody involved with the film is dead, but
we can't imagine how many extras they really would have for this, considering the era it was filmed.
There's a few bits and pieces of interviews, but not a lot. But yeah, they've had a few various covers as the letterboxed edition, which would be interesting. But and then the one I used as the backdrop in StreamYard today, which I don't know whether that's Japanese, Korean, Chinese, but it's actually quite a good cover. I like this.
That looks
like
like
this
a
poster.
It looks like a lobby card's what it looks like.
Yeah,
it looks Japanese, honestly.
It does, and I really like this one. It's actually the best one, I think.
Well, yeah, the honeycomb nature of makes it look like the virus itself, and it looks really cool.
It does look cool. Looks very cool indeed, that one. And then this other poster stroke lobby card, not bad, but I don't think it really picks a great scene as the picture. You know, I mean, it's him trying to get inside her plastic suit because he's got an uncontrollable lust.
Don't forget to put your scientific rubber on.
That's the world's biggest condoms they're wearing.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
wearing full body condoms in this flick, aren't they?
Yeah, and then but there's been a few covers, and then the one, of course, that I was talking about earlier, the movie. I didn't do a lot of. Is
I
the
think I
Satan
have
Bug,
that.
Well,
I think I have it in my library too.
Yeah, and of
Satan
course,
Bug.
John Sturges directed that, who did The Great Escape, which is one of the greatest movies ever made, of course. So, and written by James Clavell, and I'm a huge James Clavell fan. So him and
James
Michael
Clavell
Crichton.
is- yeah, great.
Yeah, I love Clavell. So,
But,
yeah.
I had a question for you. Do you guys remember any of the other? Because we had just come out of an era of really bad sci-fi films, and 2001: A Space Odyssey was the first film to try to legitimize science fiction, to seriously do it. And so in the 70s, in 71, we had Omega Man and Clockwork Orange is the only two I remember, other than Andromeda Strain. You guys recall any?
I was going to say Omega Man. I remember
Omega
that,
Man.
Wasn't
that
Logan's
one
Run around this
from my
time,
reading
too?
came out the same year. Yeah.
What's that?
So wasn't Logan's Run around this time?
No, that was like 75.
77, 78,
Well,
somewhere in
there
that
came
area.
Yeah, I was
others
just gonna say,
after
it's a little
this.
later.
You had a
Soylent
few.
Green was
after
in
this.
71. Soylent Green came out in
Soylent
71
Green,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, another good one. Yes.
So, what I like to do, as you know, on these streams is to start off just a little bit of chat about the cast and crew and so on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll call up some more images if you'll bear with me. So, it's a little small, sorry. Robert Wise was the director. And we've mentioned.
Those hills
I think
sure
it
look
was-
familiar, don't they?
Yeah. So the movie was a Universal Pictures, produced and directed by Wise, based upon Crichton's novel. As you said, it was the first under his own name, Gary. Made for about $7 million, and in North America it made 12 million, but at the box office. So it probably sold a little bit overseas. So it probably made its money back and a bit more. It wasn't an enormous hit.
Oh, yeah,
didn't
it turned a profit because the
Yeah, it didn't
marketing
lose-
wasn't that much back then.
Yeah, it didn't lose money. Filmed in 1970 in New Mexico and California, with Universal Studios being used. But one of the locations that was used was Alamogordo,
yeah.
which
New
of course
Mexico.
was used for the first Trinity nuclear test in 1945, with a large Air Force base near there too. So it's quite an interesting location to pick. Lots of movies have used that area.
Might that have something to do with why almost nobody associated with this movie is still alive?
Well, you never know.
Could be.
You know, that's kind of a scary question. Yeah, it could.
Yeah, you never know.
Hey, I do have a question for you. Do you have a copy of Satan Bug?
I don't have a physical copy.
Do you want one?
I would love one, a physical copy.
All right, we'll
I've
talk
got a
after the
digital.
show.
That's right.
Okay,
He
mate.
did do West Side Story, didn't he? The original.
Yeah, and just before we move on to why, sorry, I meant to say the town of Piedmont in New Mexico, as portrayed in the movie, is actually a ghost town called Shafter in Texas.
Shafter,
which is an actual ghost town, which is why they used it. So it's just an abandoned
It was
town,
already empty.
Yeah, and it's called Shafter. Yeah, and in fact, I think it was near Shafter that that certain Supreme Court justice was strangely died. But anyway, so I didn't see the film itself until it was on TV. I didn't see it at the cinema like Gary did. But I loved that shit. I couldn't wait to see it. And it was just like a huge event for me to finally see this techno science fiction thriller. Because I was into hard science fiction as a kid, you know, so it was like, oh God, this is the greatest thing ever. It used a lot of early computerized visual effects and tons of scientific hardware, which were donated to the movie or sold to the movie by, you know, various corporations. So it had
some of the stuff they showed in this movie, I was watching it and I was like, wow. Back in 71, they had robotics and stuff. Wow, that's amazing.
Indeed, and they did a lot. And in fact, Michael Crichton said that he wrote a lot of that stuff in the book, not realizing it actually did exist. Like, you know, remote observation stuff and all this other stuff that was in it. So it's a little bit ahead of its time there. It obviously looks old fashioned now, but it was cutting edge when it was made. So Robert Wise, seasoned campaigner. I mean, you would never have picked Robert Wise necessarily as a guy who would make this techno thriller, but as you say, he'd made science fiction before. The man who,
I mean, he really made the first serious sci-fi film. Was
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Day the Earth Stood Still.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, The Sound of Music, which as a child was ubiquitous, and I still to this day have a visceral reaction when I hear any music from it. It makes me want to smash the speaker that it's coming out of.
My earliest memory of a movie theater was sitting in the Shreve City Twin, and I remember distinctly the clock on the wall because I kept looking at it, wondering when this movie was going to end as a kid. It's one of the first movies I went and saw as a kid. And it just went on forever. I was ready to leave.
And you know what? Much as I hate it, I can still sing every song in it from memory.
Well, who can't? I mean, it was embedded in us as kids, wasn't it?
I know, it was. Like, my dad had an 8-track in the car of it, and it just went round and round.
Oh, no.
Until I wanted to burn the car.
That sounds like psychological torture.
It was. It was. I have issues. So West Side Story as well, though, of course, which was groundbreaking stuff at the time when it came out. So, he had a great track record. The Day the Earth Stood Still, and of course, as was mentioned, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which was the driest of dry Star Trek movies. Spectacular looking, but you know. But yeah, The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is still a classic. I mean, I love that movie. Again, it's pretty dry though. It's very matter of fact and not there's not too much in the way of weird shit happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm kind of curious about something. Gary, you made a comment about how there was a rash of bad science fiction movies before this. Why do you think that was? Of course, he's going to be right back.
I
you know what?
Things come and go, don't they? I mean, science fiction. Sorry, Keith, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this was pretty much at the beginning of of a really good combination of science and science fiction. It may not have been to everyone's liking, but you also have to remember that Hollywood has a certain way of working, and science fiction had never really been something that Hollywood had ever really truly gotten behind. We have had the Hollywood version of science fiction. Okay. Star Trek in actuality really was a combination of literary science fiction and Hollywood science fiction in one. Okay, so you have to walk a little bit of a tightrope when.
So really, what would you call like the 50s era of science fiction? That
Hollywood,
okay,
because that was straight up Hollywood. You got to remember, science fiction, as far as literary science fiction, was different than what you were getting out of Hollywood in the 1950s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so and so in my view, Hollywood is about 30 to 35 years behind where science fiction actually is in literary form.
Well, when you look at it too, like until the space program really kicked off in the 60s and like we actually like really started going out there and finding out what was really going on, all we had to go on was like Flash Gordon, Jules Verne, and a whole bunch of other bullshit from the late 1800s and early 1900s.
Yeah,
most of which was done out of pure imagination.
Yeah, but there was a lot good science fiction out there at the time too, though.
No, there was
in literary form. To his point, Hollywood up to this point had been monster movies and things of that ilk, with some science fiction to explain it. But the true science fiction books written by Isaac Asimov and big names like that had been written a decade before this movie came out, or more. And he's right. They were about 30, 35 years behind. Hollywood was.
Now, I'm trying to remember when Dick was writing his books. I don't remember if that was like the 50s or 60s.
I think the 40s and 50s.
Well, I think Philip K. Dick really came into his own in the 60s.
And I know Robert Heinlein was right about this time as well.
He was 30s. He started in the 30s.
But Starship Troopers in his really classic period is about 59 to 65.
Yeah, and then
iRobot and Foundation and all that stuff was years before this.
Oh yeah.
To me, Heinlein invented modern science fiction writing with Stranger in a Strange Land and stuff like that.
Especially military science fiction with Starship Troopers.
But plus, you got to remember the science, the technology at the time in filmmaking. They couldn't make a lot of the stuff that was in these books.
That's
true.
Science fiction was seen as schlock. It was schlock. It was monsters. It was aliens and flying saucers and whatever. It wasn't seen as a serious.
Well, that's the problem.
2001. I think 2001 changed a lot.
Yeah. I mean, they tried with Planet of the Apes, but Planet of the Apes still was. It's not so much it was schlocky, but it did rely on the makeup.
Mm-hmm.
And
it won awards for the makeup, though.
They did. Yeah, they did.
Well, yeah, but as an adaptation of the book, it's
not the book
by great leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I mean, Pierre Buell's book is so much better than the film. Rod Serling's different. Talk about Rod Serling's adaptation.
Rod Serling's adaptation is closer to the book.
Yep.
We have up to this point, Hollywood has never come close to even adapting what Planet of the Apes actually is. Even with the more recent movies that
or the truer adaptation,
it is not even close because it's
Monkey Planet.
Yeah, it literally is the exact opposite of everything that we've gotten up to this point. If your version of Planet of the Apes is apes riding horses, you're not even close to the book.
Well, it's the same thing as Starship Troopers, really, where Paul Verhoeven fully admits he didn't even get out of the first chapter.
Oh no, he's anti Heinlein. He thinks
Heinlein's a fascist.
Yeah, he's way far left of.
Well, I mean, I love the movie, but it ain't the book. That's for sure. It's a completely different animal.
And the fun thing is, go ahead, Gary.
I was just say the closest adaptation was the Japanese anime film.
I was just about to say that.
87.
It's actually very good.
It's very good. It's very close, but there were certain parts that I think even the Japanese were like, "Oh, he's too hardcore."
That was a very, very racist accent, Jet.
Either that or it just got too expensive.
I'm going to have to throw you out.
He's
honorable.
There's a couple different periods of Japanese anime where funding and budgets really kind of kick things.
Do you think that's what happened on that? Because I felt
it's possible because up until just a bit, like I said, there's a couple different periods, like right around when like the OVA period of anime kicked off, when you had stuff like Fight Ixer 1, Mega City 23, Dangayo, a bunch of like the one-shot type animes. That might have been right around the same period, because there's a period of time when TV animes were kind of fading off. They just weren't catching, and then they did this, and then there was an economic problem in Japan that killed the OVA industry because they were a high budget.
Right.
They were, paying for high-end talent. So it's entirely possible if the time periods work out that the budget, or it could just been something like you said, we're like, no, we really, really can't animate that because of our, recent past.
Fair.
Now, I love that you have this poster up, because this is one of my favorites.
It's a good movie. It shares obviously Nelson Gidding was the screenwriter as well, the screenwriter of the Andromeda Strain. So it's Wise and Gidding working together. And this is a neat it's mainly a British movie. I think it was filmed.
But it is actually, if you've read the book, The Haunting, or The Haunting of Hill House, it is the closest adaptation ever. It's got every single major beat from the book is in the film.
Well, next to Rosemary's Baby, which is probably the closest adaptation.
Now, and if you want to talk about bad adaptation comparison, I would say that the 99 version with Liam Neeson and Owen Wilson, however he does it, wow, it's not even the story really. It's hardly even an imitation of it. That film was great. Robert Weiss just really killed it with that, and he adapted it a year after the book came out.
Yeah,
it's a great movie, and it's just one of these ones that's kind of under the radar. Not a lot of people know it, The Haunting, because I guess it's quite old now.
And it's sad. It's a tragic story. It's not really scary. It's tragic.
Yeah, it's tragic. Yeah,
most ghost stories are tragic.
I think
really.
he tried to tamp down the sort of schlocky temptation to do any schlocky horror. Yeah,
because the scares were in there, but only because of the fact it was happening to someone. Like they were taking over, like that. It was freaky.
So there's Wise with the Star Trek crew.
There they are
on the motion picture.
Is that Roddenberry next to the camera above him?
Behind it, yeah. That's Roddenberry.
We have, I'll just allow our next guest in. It's our good friend, Just Another Red Shirt, who's now hidden by the comments. How are you, sir?
I'm just fine, thanks.
There you go. All right,
you brought him in at the right time. None of these guys got red shirts on. They need some security, man.
I even have a clip to welcome him here. Oh,
Nobody knows. Do you know why? Because my character isn't important enough for a last name. Because I'm gonna die.
A very funny film, based loosely on Star Trek, but uniform-wise, very reminiscent of a lot of stuff like Things to Come and really The Day the Earth, well, not The Day the Earth Stood Still, but I mean films of that type. I mean that really does play to how Hollywood saw science fiction, which pretty much was what Lost in Space actually was. The Hollywood version of science fiction.
And this, been thinking about it since me and Gary were talking about, the similarities in the style between the Andromeda Strain and Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot of the color palettes are very similar, especially how entire areas seem to be one color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Including the uniforms, where they're all very monocolored.
How
about
the camera shots? Some of the cinematography. You'll have a close up on the right hand side, and you'll have a clear picture of what's going on behind them.
And I think it's funny. Some of the most beautiful shots in the film were so unlike Star Trek, which was one of the biggest complaints. Because I remember people complaining about it when I was a kid. It doesn't look and feel like Star Trek. I said, yeah, but it is Star Trek because it's real science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But one thing,
if anyone who complains about that, a little maybe overly long scene where you get to see the Enterprise again for the first time, if you complain about that, leave the movie.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest scenes. That's one of the greatest scenes in any fucking sci-fi movie of all time.
Starship porn.
That's Starship porn, right there.
It really is.
Well,
it is.
Look, at the time, it was special effects nobody had seen before except for in Star Wars, and it blew people away. When I saw this movie the first time, I was not bored. Now, rewatching it today with today's technology and stuff, we've seen much better, and it does seem a little long during the flight over V'ger, and but the where they show the Enterprise is a character in the show. If anybody doesn't understand that, then they're not paying attention. And you've got to have the flyby. You've got to be able to see it.
There are two
but
things
Red Shirt will appreciate this. This movie is basically a remake of The Changeling from season 1 of Star Trek.
I was fixing to say, wasn't it a pilot? The original script for this, wasn't it supposed to be a pilot for the show?
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be Star Trek Phase 2.
Yeah, that's what all of this came out of, because Paramount was attempting to launch its own network, and they wanted to start with something big, and so why not bring Star Trek back? And it was going to have everyone but Leonard Nimoy attached to it, and it was going to be ambitious in a way, because had they launched Phase 2, it would have been much closer to what we realize Star Trek: The Next Generation to beat.
So Vince just posted this on Gilded, so I had to put it up.
Is he saying something about our age? Come on, you can put flames on anything and it'll look cool.
Well, it's the direction.
No, it's backwards
it's a pinto.
that's
the direction.
Yeah, it's a pinto. That if you bump into it, it'll blow up.
Yeah,
that's right.
Thank you, Vince.
I just want to say a couple of things about that spaceship porn scene in the first Star Trek movie. One,
was beautiful.
Let's remember, it had been 10 years since Star Trek had been new Star Trek.
Well, exactly.
So we're watching all reruns. So we were really familiar with it. We knew all the shots. You could tell, the Starship Enterprise was a model.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see that shot where it's so big they have to pan down it for over a minute.
Yeah.
And that was a level of grandeur for that ship because it was on a great big yeah, big screen. There, I'll explain later.
Sorry, Rachel.
That's all right. I stayed in the engine room with Scotty when these poor idiots went down to the surface.
By the way, Dave Bob, that was 1970 Colossus.
Yeah.
And it wasn't taken very seriously as a film.
Dave, that's on the list of films I want to do, Dave. I actually really love that movie, and I'm desperate.
It's a great
to do
film,
it
and they didn't take it seriously.
No,
and another similarity with that starship porn scene from motion pictures, it's also being filmed from Kirk's perspective as he's getting taken around the ship.
Yeah,
and you can kind of see the same camera work and stuff like that in a lot of shots. Now that I've seen the Andromeda Strain again, I think I first watched it in high school because we had to. But actually having gone through and watched it again in more modern times, it really sticks out.
Red? Is that in the photo? That's crazy.
I think that was lighting. That was lighting.
Lighting.
You can almost see. You can almost see where you can almost see where the lead.
Light.
Yeah, you can almost see the light there off to the right.
That's crazy.
So moving on,
painted.
I was moving on from Robert Wise into the writing side. Obviously, Michael Crichton, one of my favorite writers.
Yeah, I'm following your logic. Don't worry, buddy.
Has anybody read the book he did about climate change before his death?
What was it? What?
No.
Did I read what?
What
was it? What did we read? What?
The book that Michael Crichton wrote.
What
about
is that thing
climate
that you
change.
keep saying?
Yeah, it's a book about celebrities posturing.
You gotta read it.
Posturing. It was very well done. It was all about celebrities posturing about the climate. It was really good.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, Crichton, if you look at the themes of everything you've wrote, it's almost always the same theme. It's man not understanding the dangers of technology or disease or
nature,
cloning
for their own goals.
And here is his cameo in the movie. Because just at the scene where Olsen, I think
that's Coma. That's from Coma.
That's from this one.
No, this is from this movie. He's about to do the Olsen is about to do the operation on somebody, and then they come in and say, "We need you to come with us." Mm-hmm. He's sitting outside, waiting to just do nothing. He's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. That's Michael Crichton was in this movie, just briefly.
No, Coma
he was
my first exposure to him. I read that book after I saw the Michael Douglas and what was her name? Genevieve Bujold? Was that her name?
Coma?
Genevieve Bujold. Yeah.
Bujold.
Genevieve, is that how you say it?
She was in Coma.
Yeah.
And he directed and wrote it.
Yeah.
He directed and wrote it. And that movie scared the shit out of me when that came out. What year was that?
As well it should.
78.
Yeah.
I love that one. But the screenwriter wasn't Crichton. Crichton wasn't actually the screenwriter on this, which surprised me when I looked at it. It was a guy called Nelson Gidding, who I hadn't really heard of a lot of his movies, but he did write The Haunting. And he also did one of the not weirdest, but most unusual movies, I guess, a French Vietnam movie, in a sense. It was about French paratroopers in Vietnam, Lost Command, which is
Anthony
not a bad movie.
Quinn,
when you watch it.
I haven't seen his name in forever.
Yeah.
George Segal. Wow.
Was that about the battle at Dien Bien Phu?
Yeah, I think so. And Gidding that's really the only films he wrote that I can, and the Andromeda Strain that I could barely remember ever seeing. I mean, he wrote a bunch of stuff, but they were all kind of pot boilers. But yeah, I mean, he's obviously an okay writer, but the Lost Command is an unusual little movie, if you ever see it. Because normally it's Americans in Vietnam.
I have seen that. I need to go find a copy
of
that.
I saw it on TV like decades ago. You know?
There's a newer one like that called Danger Close on Amazon that it goes over like the Australians in Vietnam, which I
saw that one. It was really good.
Yeah, Life Force wouldn't mind doing that one. Yeah.
Well,
You know,
Oh, I love Life Force, dude.
Yeah, and
You
Demon
got-
Seed. I love
You got
Demon
the guy
Seed.
that played, what's his name in Helter Skelter? The killer, the guy that sent everybody out to kill everybody on Helter Skelter. The actor Railsback, Steve Railsback. It took me a
Steve
second to remember
Railsback,
his
yeah.
name. Railsback going to French kiss Patrick Stewart. Come on, man. Come on.
So Richard Klein was the cinematographer again. I mean, he did
Klein
dozens
is
of great
amazing,
movies.
yes.
Brilliant guy. This is like one of my favorite movies, The Mechanic, the Charles Bronson
The original one, the good one.
When you
The
look at
original
that
one.
scene, it's a beautifully filmed shot there. I
Yeah,
just
the
love
movie
that.
where the good guy dies but gets his revenge.
Yes, but I do love the Charles Bronson Mechanic. He was the cinematographer in that. Solient Green. And The Terminal Man, which I had forgotten about, and I'm going to have to try
George
and find
Siegel,
a copy.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked that movie years ago when it came out.
Scared the crap out of me, too.
Yeah, that's another good one to add to the list, The Terminal Man. But he also did King Kong 76. There he is with there he is with Jeff Bridges' head.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
My
that
favorite
movie
King
sucked,
Kong movie.
But the lighting was great.
So, Joe, yeah, the lighting was good. Joe, the
I love it. I love the 77 King Kong movie because I just love
liked
the thing, him jumping between the towers and fighting, beating up the Huey helicopters and stuff. I just thought the special effects were kick ass.
You know,
I
the
was
best
12 when I
scene-
saw it, man. I loved
like
it.
it.
The best
went to this-
scene was when she's in his hand and all wet because she was in a bath, and he uses his amazing,
Gives her a
delicious
blowjob. Yep.
8 breath to blow
That's
her
right.
dry. Because that didn't stink at all. She's like doing
Yeah,
this, and
right?
I'm like, wow, there's no rotten meat between his teeth or anything.
Right,
That's great.
nothing.
And of course, Star Trek Motion Picture, he was a cinematographer
V'ger.
on that.
Yep, V'ger.
Yep.
But also, I think his crowning masterpiece was Howard the Duck.
I always feel bad about that film because it is
The
a dirty
greatest
pleasure.
bad
I
movie
love it
ever
too.
made.
I love that movie.
I do
I have
too,
a
man.
sneaking liking for it, to be honest. I don't know what the chat thinks.
It's a guilty pleasure where
It's my favorite. It's my favorite Tim Robbins movie. Always has been.
Even better than The Player or Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder.
Cool.
I never want to see again.
Oh,
That
right, I
that show
liked it.
is an assault on the senses, man.
Oh yeah,
It's just-
great
I don't know.
ending,
I'll
great
never
ending.
watch
It's
it
a good.
again,
Don't
too.
get me wrong. Some movies just you only need to see them once. I mean,
Vince
I saw The Passion of the Christ. I'll never watch that movie again. It's too painful to watch. The one that I always bring up about this subject is 8mm. I know that side of life exists, but I don't need to see it. I don't. That movie right there turned my stomach.
Although
was
I got to
like,
tell you, I
wow.
like that movie from the beginning all the way until the end. And you cannot negotiate when you have the item that they want on you.
Which one are
Because
you
they'll just
talking
kill
about?
you and take it. 8mm.
8
He
mil-
had it
yeah.
with him.
Oh my god.
That
I'm looking for this
negotiation scene
meme.
was so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Vince
That-
has posted a meme somewhere, and I'm looking for it.
But
I'm
you
looking in the
understand what
wrong
I'm
place.
saying, Gary. I know that part of the world exists, and I
Oh, yeah.
really
liked it, Vince.
I wish it didn't.
Snuff
And
films, those evil
it's
fucking
dark.
people. Yeah.
It's dark.
I'll
They
get-
kind
I'll
of
get it
touch on
soon,
that in
Vince.
that movie Hardcore with George C. Scott. and his
Yes. Now
daughter.
that one that one didn't affect me as bad as 8mm though.
Oh,
The
it
whole
did me,
snuff
man.
film thing. Oh God. Wow.
So, on the special effects, Douglas Trumbull, who only passed away in February, so I'll leave it to.
Really?
He was one of the last. In fact, he was the last remaining member of the.
What
main
movie is that
team.
from? I don't recognize that.
Yeah,
Get out
I
of
don't know.
town. Come on, man.
It's,
I know Gary's joking now.
Oh, you know, I'm
Black-
joking, 'cause I'm the founder of the Blade Runner fan club.
I
There
think
you
it was
go,
Black
brother.
Rain,
Yes.
wasn't it? Isn't that
No,
Black
no,
Rain?
no. It's from the updated version of Metropolis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
Metropolis.
Yeah.
Tony Scott directed it.
There you go.
See, that's the police in a
I thought,
city.
isn't it the pyramid from Stargate?
Yeah. Only wrong
So,
answers.
Only wrong answers. That's it. I was thinking
yeah,
it was a section of the tower from the Towering Inferno there for a second.
So
Holy shit,
I
it
don't
could be.
think we need to recap Douglas Trumbull's career.
No.
Oh,
But
Oh
it
my
was a
God,
great.
man.
How about
special
everything
effect.
that is great? Yeah.
Show scan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and sadly just passed this year, and virtually everyone connected with Andromeda Strain is dead now. There's only
And
one or
given
two
where they
remaining.
shot it, that may have had something to do with it.
And
Well,
his
maybe.
expertise in lighting is what he did in
I
Close
mean, look at
Encounters,
this.
Star Trek, Blade Runner, is effects that stand the test of time to this day.
I was going to say that when they showed this picture right here, it does stand the test of time. You can watch
Jumped
that
ahead
today
there.
and it'll still blow you away.
Oh, I just
The way
watched
he
it a couple
shoots
months ago.
lighting,
It's still awesome.
he does
Yeah.
multiple passes for his lighting, and it's incredible what he does.
So behind the camera and the backstage, there's a lot of heavyweight talent on the movie. The music, I didn't really want to talk about too much, but it was a jazz musician I'd never heard of called Gil Melier, and he did a lot of the electronic stuff, which he did in homemade equipment. So a lot of it's not really a score. There's lots of clunking and beeping and clanging at various points, like in the intro.
Yeah, that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah, he did all that in his basically just a home studio. He knocked these early electronic instruments together. The guy himself, who's mainly known for TV stuff like the Columbo theme or the Night Stalker theme, which was more standard kind of jazzy TV theme stuff. But he was an unsung electronic pioneer, which he showed in this movie. There's no songs I can think of in the movie that would.
No, it's done in such a documentary style. I mean, that intro is trying to convince you that you're about to watch a true story, and that this is with permission from the government to out everything, to expose everything.
The sounds add to that, yeah.
Actually, wasn't there a bit of a panic about this movie because some people thought it was real? Because it actually happened.
Well, there's that report that it still stands to this day that there is a meeting between intelligent alien life and the U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force at a location like that.
Hence why we haven't seen
Steven
it since.
Spielberg was inspired by that report.
Okay.
So there was a heavyweight team making the movie, but for whatever reason, they probably felt it was better not to have really well-known stars in it.
I was going to point that out when I watched this afternoon. It looks like a bunch of character actors I've seen in many other films, but they're never the lead guy.
Right.
None of these guys are, and I thought that was great.
Yep.
Really did.
Clobby, I thought we were more than friends. I thought we were pretty intimate. Just don't hurt me. Anyway, sorry, I'm missing some great stuff in the chat. I'm not missing it. I can see it going by. I just don't have I've not highlighted as many as I should, so my apologies. But yeah, the cast was very low key. A lot of experienced TV actors, and smaller parts in movies. This is the main for the team that are in Wildfire. Mm-hmm. The guy on the right, James Olsen, he looks like a villain. He looks like he could be a villain.
I was fixing to say, I saw a lot of these guys on TV, a lot.
Yeah, a lot of them are on TV. Yeah. Also, Olsen was in Commando. He's one of the military officers in Commando, which is...
That's right, he was.
Yeah, possibly one of the bigger roles he's had.
He's the one that went and got him from the cabin, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
If you watch your average Columbo, Cannon, Ironside,
you'll see
Westerns,
these actors.
You'll see all these guys in there. On the Arthur Hill on the right, who's Dr. Jeremy Stone. Dozens of TV shows playing politicians and FBI agents and you name it. He's in tons of them. A lot of these guys were in Dallas as well. The show Dallas, like David Wayne, Charles Dutton. He was in Dallas, and there's linked to many other people in the cast who were in it, but he also played a character of the same name in a show called The Good Life, Charles Dutton. So he had two characters of that name in two different shows.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird.
What are the chances?
That is weird. The Good Life, by the way, was a pale imitation of a British comedy show called The Good Life, but that's what happens. So the one I like the best though is Kate Reid, who she's the
awesome.
best. She's great in this. She has all the funny lines, such as they are in it. And yeah, she's definitely my favorite. And she was in Dallas along with David Wayne. And she's also had a couple of starring roles with Robert Redford and Charles Bronson and this property is condemned, and she was in Atlantic City with Burt Lancaster and Susan Sarandon many years later. So she's probably the most recognizable.
I thought she was awesome in the movie. You're right. She does have. I think it's because she's the one bucking the system the whole way.
Oh yeah,
she's the conspiracy theorist of the bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck this shit.
Tell the what the hell?
She says, "Tell the president's assistant I burnt my draft card."
Right.
Yes.
Which I love. Great. And then the only other cast member of all the named cast that I felt was recognizable was Paula Kelly, who plays the nurse there. Karen Anson. She was in Soylent Green as well. You may remember. She was one of the principal leads in that. So, but of all the named crew and cast of this movie, I could only find 2 of them that are still alive. They're all dead apart from these 2 guys.
Really?
Yeah, Arthur Hill died like in 2009.
Oh yeah, some of them were a while ago. So these 2 are still alive. One is Mark Jenkins. He's on he's the one in the center, and he's now a professor in University of Washington, emeritus, teaching drama. Okay. And the other guy is a guy called Peter Helm, and nobody knows.
You would have killed the whole conversation if you'd said that he was teaching immunology.
Right? He's in the CDC. So these 2 are still alive. Everyone else in the named cast is gone, unfortunately.
And that's also because these 2 were the red shirts at the beginning. That
they
really were probably only on the set for a couple of days.
Yeah, they just did the Piedmont stuff, and it's like
you heard them talking through a speaker more than you did on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, but they survived, funnily enough. So, but yeah, that's that's the intro to the movie. I'm going to start showing some stills as we do, but before we do that. Yeah, Red Shirt, I meant to I didn't really give you a proper intro, but what's your history with the movie? I mean, did you see it at the time when it came out?
I saw it very shortly after it came out on television. I never saw this in a theater. But this was my introduction to Michael Crichton, and I started finding his books when I found out he was a science fiction writer and they'd made this movie from one of his books. And I've read most of them. I don't think I've read his last one there, the one on climate change. But I have read some of his speeches.
It's good.
I've read some of his last speeches where he excoriated the scientific community, called them a cargo cult, and really laid into them.
He does.
So I always thought of him as a really good hard science fiction writer, and he's probably the only one I've ever seen him, hard science fiction, try to put on the screen. I mean, I would love to see a Larry Niven story get on the screen, but I don't think we ever will. But his stuff was really pretty meticulously laid out. In fact, sometimes it was boring at times. I mean, it just got to be more detailed. It was like he's telling you more than you want to know.
Yeah, it's dry, as Imperator says. It's very dry.
Yes. But he manages to keep a story thread going, and this movie is a really intellectual, story. It's not an action story for the most part. The closest thing to it is the race to shut down the bomb at the end. But it's all very thoughtful and and they build tension in it because and that weird score may not be something you want to go out and buy the LP so you can listen to it later.
No, but it sets the tone. That's the opening credits. It just sounded creepy as hell, and it was all techno sounding stuff.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, but at the same time, it was scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dildo's nailed it.
This movie
Dildo has nailed it. It can't be seen as a real movie, a real scientist. There's a woman scientist in it. Totally breaks the immersion.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Sorry, Red Shirt. Yeah.
That's all right. No, this is more of a thriller than this reads more like a thriller than a sci-fi movie. Certainly of the day. This could be about a murder. In some ways, it is. And then finding out, where we find out later, the female scientist makes the accusation. We'll get there. You start to question the whole thing that you've been making assumptions all along, right? And all of a sudden, it gets to this point in the movie, and you start wondering whether any of the assumptions you've been making as you watch this were valid even from the very beginning of the movie. and it's almost like you're being fed one story, like that's the press release, but then you find out what was really going on and what this place is. So,
indeed, and there's some contention amongst the characters about that. But just before we launch the video of the stills and we can just start rolling through the movie, there is one still I couldn't show in the movie because of nudity. So just let me.
Before you get to that, I wanted to say something to Red Shirt. Oh yeah, there we go.
I actually
that guy's got a mad's ass.
Huge Arse was the name of the actor there. I think it's. But yeah, I couldn't show that one.
You brought up Larry Niven, by the way, Red Shirt, and I wanted to point out, like when I was just out of high school, I didn't read Larry Niven until I was out of high school because a guy I gamed with, and he's like, "Oh, you never read Larry Niven?" I read Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, and those guys, Arthur C. Clarke. Oh, yeah. So I read Ringworld, Lucifer's Hammer. Let's see, Footfall was the last one I read. And what was this one called? A World Out of Time. And I thought they were some of the best sci-fi I ever read. And Footfall should have been a movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he wrote real sci-fi authors' names into it.
Yep.
Because they're the heroes. I love the idea that the only people that can figure out how to defeat aliens are guys who wrote science fiction.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, the real scientists will actually, sit down and try to work the problem from a very logical perspective. These guys will just come up with off-the-wall shit, and then we'll try to see if it works.
Exactly.
I think in this one, they did try to make it look like a true scientific method.
Look at that opening.
I mean, this opening statement tells you what the movie is.
They're trying to make it present it. It was a real thing that happened, and this is the story of that, and you're privy to this information. Nice setup,
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And this is where the cling clang electronic
the music during this part was just wow. Just set the tone aesthetically that this is going to be a creep show, whether you like it or not. You're going to be freaked out by what you see. Yeah.
This kind of opening, though, also led to inspiring the opening of the most recent singular Godzilla film prior to Godzilla versus Kong, and telling a story through your opening credits, through classified papers and various other things.
Yeah, exactly, because it's almost identical to this.
Yeah,
yeah, and there's a certain amount of this in the opening of Hellboy.
Yes.
Seeing documents and reports and photographs and all the quote.
Hey, John Holmes
evidence.
was in this.
John Holmes, he's the big swinging dick at the in the back. Told you were going to get a porn movie, whether you liked it or not.
Whether you like it or not. Well, actually, when you were talking about the butt earlier, I was like, is he about to show that girl with the nice rack who's dead that they find? Oh my God.
Well, that would have been if I could have found that picture, yes. But, but yeah, I think Kitty Bear had a good joke there around why was the butt not blurred out? Because it just still looked like a butt, even though there was supposedly a picture in front of it.
Wow.
That's cruel stuff, Kitty Bear. Cruel stuff. Poor Mad. Sentient Dildo is smoking the Andromeda Strain, and it's pretty good.
I just read that one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Sentient, man.
Yeah, they really went for the I like the feed and grain because of the wildfire facility is supposedly a farming thing. Yeah, it was a good opening sequence. Actually, really well designed artistically, I think.
Back in the early 70s when they put the credits before the movie. Yes.
Yeah, and then the old night for day filming. But this is the ghost town in Texas that they were pretending was in New Mexico. But hey, West Texas, New Mexico, there's not much difference.
They're both flat. Yeah.
Yep, flat and dry.
And hot.
And hot. I guess you can visit this place. It's a real ghost town.
Yeah. believe it.
And that's a real Starlight scope, I think. Like that was the night vision we were using in Vietnam.
And that's a real van.
They got a lot of equipment. They had a lot.
That's
of
a real
equipment.
satellite dish.
Yeah, a lot of equipment given to them or donated or whatever by and there's some cutting edge stuff in this for the time.
Like there's some stuff they mentioned in here that I'm surprised we would even admit that we would had in the early 70s.
Electricity.
Thank God you have a room full of guys that are very sarcastic watching it.
You don't even have real electricity in California now. So
well, I mean, they'll get there one day.
Yeah. There's no blur that can fix Mads' face.
Yeah, right.
He's just the butt of all the jokes today.
Okay, I gotta get my audio stuff out for that, if it works.
So these guys think they're on a routine recovery. They've got a signal. They're tracking the signal from this down satellite.
Yeah.
But things are starting to look a little weird.
This is already, I think Richard, they've already given away the fact the satellite program is called Scoop.
Right.
Yep.
So,
Scoop
like you were out
control.
there scooping something.
Yeah.
What makes that so realistic is, like, having been in the military, you and I both, we know that there's some really stupid fucking names.
They are. Yeah. Absolutely.
If it's not an idiotic acronym, it's like the most obvious cover name ever.
This is where you see things like I used to love about old films where they're tracking things on an oscilloscope.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you tracking on an oscilloscope?
Well,
what's that telling
the original
you?
radar screens were oscilloscopes, and then they came up with a planned position indicator, which is the circular one we all recognize today as a radar screen.
The bit about this is, that's right. I like this whole section because there's a couple of things in here that are important. One is, the guys are phoning in saying everyone in the town is dead. They're all dead. What do you want us to do? And the guy looks up his book and goes, "Your orders are to go in and get the satellite. Everyone in the town's dead, and they're sending these two guys in to their death."
Yeah.
Like,
and he has to turn to a page. You know, in case of everyone in town is
he
dead,
actually
flip
put
to
his
page
finger
17.
on it. Okay.
That's right.
Your orders are. So he's obviously not doing any thinking.
Yeah. How does this make you feel, Red Shirt, to know that those two
That would have
guys
been you.
were your brothers?
That would have been Red Shirt.
They're sending you in.
That's right. You guys are going in, so stop complaining.
That's it.
Yeah. You're expendable.
And he's already on the phone. He knows these guys are dead. He knows he knows they are. He's already on the phone before they even finish. Did you notice that, guys?
Yep.
Yep.
That's right. He's ordering some takeout. Now this guy's funny because not him, but his name, Major Mancheck.
Mancheck.
Yes.
Can we get a man check?
Man check, please.
Major Vag Fam.
He sounds like
Major
like
Powers,
a 1970s.
Major Power Bottoms.
I wonder if his name was Dick Mancheck. They never give us his first name, but
No.
Talk about
he sounds like he should have been a 1970s detective in a series.
Hey, Mancheck.
Check Mancheck's man card, please.
Banachek. That was the name.
Yes.
Banachek.
Oh, I love that show, dude. I have all of them.
Yeah. Keith actually has posted something in the private chat, which I just want to flag up if I can, and I've no idea how to do it on screen here, but 2003 publication by the Infectious Diseases Society of America noted that the Andromeda strain is the most significant, scientifically accurate, and prototypic of all films of this genre. It accurately details the appearance of a deadly agent, its impact, and the efforts at containing it. And finally, the workup on its identification and clarification on why certain persons are immune to it. That is quite
There's always 1%, and I tell people this. Every virus... doesn't matter what disease it is. You'll always have 1% of the population who's for some reason mutatedly immune.
Yep.
But what's important about that is it doesn't resemble in any way the response to recent events.
No.
So, were they handled differently then? Anyway,
And
That's
the
gonna
thing
cut
is, though,
a
back in the
stream short.
70s when this came out as a kid, we were going to the moon still and coming back, and so it's really
Yeah.
terrifying to a lot of us. Like,
Well, and that's
are
why
they
they
going to bring us
quarantined.
back on moon rocks?
They quarantined those guys. They quarantined the moon rocks. They were. This guy looks
And
like
Hollywood
he's
took
out
advantage of that fear
Sorry.
too, because I mean, just
I-
look at the blob. It was a meteorite that it came out
Yeah,
of, right?
yeah. But
Moon
it is
rock,
a real
and
thing. It could
there's
happen.
a moon rock in this one, right? The porous looking rock. Yeah.
It's very likely it could happen, as they do believe viruses can withstand deep space for a long time.
Actually, I know a gentleman who's no longer with us, a father of a very good friend of mine, who was a microbiologist, and he got a call from NASA one day about 40 years ago or so, 45 years ago. The shuttle had come back with something under one of its heat-resistant tiles, and they wanted him to look at it. It turned out to be an Earth-born organism that had been carried up with the shuttle, not something that had picked up in orbit, but they treated it like this. They called in scientists from around the country. They locked up the shuttle in a hangar, and they got the samples, and they had them all take a look at it to see what
And
it
it
was,
survived.
classify it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they all survived. It turned out to be nothing. It was probably
But
athlete's foot fungus or something.
It could be monkeypox. The organism survived.
I do want to remind you that Pop Culture Minefield is a carrier of monkeypox for nerds.
What? What?
Nerdpox. Nerdpox. Keith,
Just
I bet you
nerds.
res- I
It's
bet you
nerd
resist kissing him
monkeypox.
now, Keith. I bet you regret kissing him now, Keith.
Jeez, God, no.
No.
So this guy here reminds me of a pilot of Hot Shots Part 2.
Right.
Durka Durka.
Durkistan.
Durka Durkistan. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that abandoned town.
Yeah. But this
You
is
know,
all
when I
ex-
was watching this, all I could think of, especially when they go into my shorthand is, it's the hive, you know, from Resident Evil. It's an underground thing with many levels, right? But all I could think of was Bob Lazar and the stories he's told about working in controlled situations, you know, where some people weren't passing knowledge from one place to another, you know, in total secrecy kind of thing. If you've ever listened to those interviews he's done, it's something else.
Yeah, yeah. So this is where they all start
Hey, it's
talking
Dick
about
Manchek.
Dick Manchek. This
Manchek.
is where they all start talking about there's a fire. This is a case of fire, and
that's
he's
the code
memorized this
word.
phone number too. He's memorized it.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's dialing it on a rotary phone. That
Yeah,
killed
on
me
a
right there. I was like,
rotary- that's right.
yes, it's 70s, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that number memorized.
Oh, teletype?
Scoop
Is that a
mission
teletype?
control.
Yep, teletype.
Yep.
Yep, there we go.
This is where the age does show, though, because some of the other equipment you could see still being in existence, electron microscopes, whatever. But this teletype, yeah,
That tells you what part in history we're in right there. doesn't it?
exactly. That ages it right away.
It's post
And the
World
fa-
War II, no doubt,
and the-
but
yeah.
we still haven't advanced much.
We still got teletypes, yeah.
Yep.
And you know that they're military accurate when the date looks all screwed up.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is an interesting bit because she gets really upset that they've come for her husband, and I think her line is,
Look at that
what's it she
split
says?
diopter there.
That's
No,
the shot.
yeah.
Yeah. There's guys in the foreground, totally clear, and you can clearly see the guy with the gun
Yeah,
back
that's
there. It's
that's
not
a
blurred
split
at all.
diopter. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she actually complains to her husband here. She says, "Jeremy, you can't leave. The orgy hasn't started yet."
Wait a minute.
It's Berkeley. They are in
There was a
Berkeley.
black scientist in the back of the room. How come I've never noticed that before?
Well, that's because of the orgy. He's only there because of the orgy.
Oh, well.
He's the swinging dick.
He's the BBC.
Where's John Holmes at? Yeah.
Oh, now that
Yeah,
you got
John.
a black scientist, you don't need John Holmes.
I do like her outfit, though. I'm trying to determine which fake fiber her outfit was made out of.
Oh, I picked a fine time to stop sniffing glue.
That's right. Some stern-looking people. But yeah, to think this is Berkeley, he's supposed to be in Berkeley right now. It's supposed to be the swinging 60s, and they all look like they're some kind of 1920s literature conference.
I was fixing to say, yeah, it looks like
at that time, those were these were the professors. The swinging Berkeleyites were the hippies and the students.
I sorry, that I don't know if I can go back to that last one.
I love it when somebody looks at the phone in a movie or a TV show. They'll stop, pull the phone away, and look at the phone like, I don't know what that's supposed to signify. I really don't.
Right?
What is this thing?
Right.
There's a voice coming out of it. Yeah, there's the bit here where he gets his orders.
I'm gonna go fuck my wife. I'll be right back, guys.
Right. Yeah. Don't worry, it'll only take 2 minutes.
She's not coming back.
It's only taking 2 minutes.
Hey, Sergeant, did he fuck his wife? Oh, yeah, he's here now. Oh,
well, the thing is, the sergeant said, "Don't worry, sir. We'll take care of that for you.
We'll take care of it for you. We'll do it in proper military fashion."
Yeah, I love the 20 years or $20,000 fine. I remember reading that one.
Yeah, first time that came through, I thought that said $20. It was like, oh, I'll pay the $20.
Oh, right.
This is the only thing that dates it. $20,000. Oh, Jesus! That's not a big deal.
At this point, that'd be like, you guys take checks?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's get my credit card. Yeah,
a free, all-expensive paid trip to Leavenworth.
Fort Leavenworth, my friend.
Fort
Leavenworth.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that phone again.
Yep. She's steering.
What is this? How do I use it?
All of a sudden, a tongue pops out of it. Oh, wrong movie. Sorry.
She's just had the phone call interrupted by a disembodied voice. It's like, you will be given instructions later. Like, and we're shutting off your call. Click.
That's right, because she's trying to call her dad, who's
I don't believe this is a TWA flight at all.
Yeah, I was like, were they trying to hide the fact that this doctor was traveling by emptying a plane and taking?
The thing is, it took off on time, so it couldn't be TWA.
Yeah.
Plus, it actually landed where it was supposed to.
Right.
Again, we're getting some amazing fashions here. I mean,
oh man,
sexy sleepwear of the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. That's a grandma gown if I ever saw one.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know? She could be totally with it.
I like how they're in sleepwear, but he was still fully dressed. Like, I'm the man of the house.
And oh my God, wool fucking sleepwear? Jesus Christ.
I know. Now we come to the best character in the whole thing.
Yes. Here
She's
is.
the best. She's
the
like,
curmudgeon. Yes.
Fuck off. She gets the
I'm
fag
the
in her
dirty old
mouth.
lady that's never had sex.
Yeah. Well, we don't know about that.
Smoked a lot of cocks. I mean cigarettes.
She just doesn't get a lot of it now. But
what was it she said to him? Tell the president I burned my draft
burned my
card?
draft card. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she's like, I can't be bothered with this shit.
She couldn't remember the password, which is Mecca Ho.
Lick a what? It was lick a what?
She's a total cutout.
I can see her wrist. She's a harlot. Oh,
see, there's
God,
Michael Crichton lurking outside the window.
That's
He was lurking outside there. But I think he should have cut in. I think he should have just cut in and said, "No, I'm leaving." There's Michael Crichton.
There he is.
There he is.
They sent the state cops. Good googly moogly.
Should have stuck the knife in, ripped her appendix out, and then said, "Look, I'm done."
Look what I almost stepped in.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
You know, he looks a lot. I just realized he looks like the actor that played Oscar Goldman.
You're right.
He has very similar eyes.
Vandenberg.
But now they're getting into the real shit.
I was
suited up.
Every time I saw Vandenberg, I just wanted to hear a guitar go, wah, 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 you know, or something. Like that. Every time I see that name on screen. Oh man!
But now they're getting the giant condoms on.
Yeah.
Human-sized condoms.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, before we go inside, it's time for.
Oh, hey, look! It says "lubed for my pleasure." Awesome.
Yeah. Well, before we go inside, let's get to know each other until that unfortunate time where I'll have to leave you behind. But that's another plot for another.
My name is Neil, and I am a power bottom.
No, I think,
God.
Was this scene meant to be after all that? or
Yes.
before all that?
This is basically the hearing that comes after.
Hearings after the fact.
So this guy here is the senator from Vermont, Senator Phillips. So he's actually Bernie Sanders, but he just changed his name since. So.
No, this one actually makes sense.
Oh, that's true. He's worried about taxes. Yeah,
yeah, true. He's worried about taxpayer money.
It wasn't
Can't be Bernie Sanders.
Wasn't that guy playing the officer at the table? Wasn't he in the whatchamacallit, something Voyage, where they shrink down to go in the guy?
Oh, Fantastic
Voyage. Fantastic Voyage.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was in there for some reason. That guy
He also
right
looks
there.
a little bit like David Petraeus.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. He's another one of those guys that was on TV a lot back then and stuff. Yeah,
I do like the fact that there's a lot of diversity in here. There's some old white men and there's some old white men who are balding. So
At least you get to feel represented.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. Isn't this entire movie nothing but old white men, with the exception of 1 or 2 women and 1 black guy? And the help?
One black woman.
Yes.
Black girl. There's
That's
a black
just not
girl.
realistic at all, is it?
The only
That's true. There's
sexy
a
girl in it
there's
is the black one.
And she's
That's
a
right.
major character in the movie, too.
And the black girl actually gets sexually accosted during the film.
And
as
they
well.
get to call her nurse.
Damn it, Matt.
Yeah, it's certainly nowadays you would know it would look radically different. And maybe that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Yeah,
I remember this whole conversation between these two. The doctor is trying to be, nonchalant, and the main doctor, what was that character's name? The one in front there, the head of the whole
Stone.
Stone. Yep.
That's it. Dr. Stone. He was so matter of fact. He had no time for bullshit, man.
Well, the other one.
He just shut down when the guy tried to have some levity. He'd shut him down during that conversation.
Well, he said, "I don't believe. I didn't read your stuff because I don't believe in science fiction." And
that's it.
Now, the one thing I was curious
I.
about with this in real life was I've always wanted to learn that if the bodies where the blood had all crystallized the way it did, that there would be no bloating, except for in the internal organs.
That's right.
True. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Lividity wouldn't take place and bloating wouldn't take place anywhere else except for your main digestive organ.
Well, he points out the lividity thing when they're doing their investigation, but I didn't think about the bloating thing at all. Yeah, they wouldn't because that's reaction to the gases in the blood that makes it do that.
Yeah.
So
it's so I'm like, it's a medical thing.
Vince is talking about inner space, but I think we were talking of Fantastic Voyage, which is a different.
I was inner space.
Same movie, same plot, but different movie.
Inner Space is the comedy version of Fantastic Voyage.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was definitely inspired by it. Yeah. No doubt.
And I'm a fan of that film. I really did that. Love the crap. The actors, they had McCarthy, Robert Picardo. God, what a great cast.
Well, what Stone is, what we're starting to see with Stone, not allowing any levity, is you get back once time and time again. He calls them back to that's not the procedure. We need to follow the procedure, and they're acting on intuition, and he's trying to follow a recipe.
Right, and also what you're starting to see is he knows a little bit more about what's going on than the rest of them do.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so that's becoming apparent.
The thing is, he wants to follow procedure until there's a point where he doesn't want to follow procedure. So,
This
he
looks
acts
a lot.
impulsively too.
This, I would not be surprised if they got a few inspirations for the Texas scene in the Fight the Future X-Files movie from this film.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. The thing about this is that if you've ever been in a small West Texas town, I think they're all just hung over after a real hammered.
Keith, one thing I did think about the X-Files when I saw this. You know what I thought about it? The farm outside the top of the complex. That's what I thought about.
But also that shot where you had the two guys in the suits looking down, and the way that all of this is composed.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the scene where they found the little boy, where he was in the hole, and they built everything over it, and then eventually paved over it before Scully and Mulder got there, but I mean that entire sequence seems like it's kind of sort of based on this movie.
That's one of the most underrated movies ever. Now,
I
yeah,
know they're getting into the split screen stuff.
Yeah,
this was a
yeah.
fad
This
at
is
the
where
time.
the nice rack shows up somewhere
around that time.
She's the one.
She
with
was
the
making a
peace sign around her
sandwich for
neck.
somebody. And then she just got hammered. She forgot why she went to the fridge.
Truly a tragic loss.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They needed to gray up a lot of these bodies because they're way too pink.
Yeah, but it is an effective sequence, you know. I mean,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
creepy.
Yep.
It's very creepy because you don't know at this point what's killed them.
Well,
And then you find the suicides, and then you find the suicides of those who were driven insane.
Yeah. Some of them made it a little longer. There she
we
is.
go.
Oh,
There she is.
Oh, shit.
Get off of that one quick. That looks like Kathy Bates. I thought
I thought that was Kathy Bates for a minute.
I did too when I saw it.
In
I
fact,
was
that's
like,
what the
wait a
actors
minute,
are
there's
saying
no way.
right now. That looked like Kathy Bates. See, he's pointing. I think it was.
And actually, they were saying to each other, "Do you think we still could? Is she warm? Is she still warm?" She can't believe it's not butter.
We investigated the next house.
Yeah,
Dragnet, the science version.
Horrible right here.
Ooh,
Vince is on a roll today.
I forgot.
Now, what's jacked up is the note was tied to a cat's tail. That was just wow, really
Just
weird.
the last bit of animal cruelty before she goes.
Yeah.
Well,
This
I
is
mean,
the
obviously
weirdest
the
one.
cat died before she did, and she lost her mind. But
This
it's
is the
just weird
weirdest-
placement, I would think. You know,
He even says, "Who'd commit suicide by sticking their head in a bath of water?"
yeah.
He actually
You know,
says
it's
that.
not-
I didn't think you could commit suicide that way.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
the
aware of
weirdest
it.
one.
You would have to be immersed in it and not be able to get out.
And here's the
Yeah.
poor guys that were sent in knowing they were going to die, probably.
The red shirts.
There it
There they
is. I like that shot right there
Yeah,
because the blood is already coagulated.
Yep.
yeah.
And that's their first clue.
Yep.
Shocking.
There should be blood here, and there isn't any.
Yeah, scalp wounds bleed like crazy.
Birds tearing
Dead
in.
buzzards.
And dying. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the buzzards are going, hey, what's it?
That's some good stuff.
Oh man, he almost fixed the car.
Yeah.
The fish commit
Oh
suicide.
shit! It's Scooby Doo and the gang.
Yeah.
The mystery machine's here. We're
And
saying
when they're discussing how quickly this whatever this agent is acted, you know, he says that fast. This cut him down in mid stride, and you see that. You know, a guy collapsed across the engine bay of the car he was working on when he suddenly died. You know, everybody's right where they were standing when whatever
Again,
it was hit them.
It's a
Only the
small West
suicide-
Texas town that could happen.
Right.
And the suicides are so important to what's going on, and that's what they figure out later.
I think this was
Stevens-
the worst case of instant flatulence that anybody has ever experienced.
Oh my god!
Terminal
Now, are you
flatulence.
saying
This
that-
place smells so bad.
Are you saying the flatulence, expelling the flatulence killed them, or smelling the flatulence killed them?
Both.
Both.
I think it was the guy in that pink 57 Chevy. He just had the windows down, rolled through town, and everyone just, that was it.
Yeah,
Rapey- that is the rapiest van in the military, right there.
telling you, bro.
yes.
I
Going
do
back
like
to
Steve-
flatulence, how do you figure out who actually dealt it? I mean, you know,
Well, I
That's
mean,
right.
that's what
That's
the
the
rest
whole
of the plot's
mission.
about.
The whole mission is to figure that out. But yeah, Stephen Ransom's got a really good point here. This is what LA looks like all day and all night now. People sleeping in the sun.
So they,
No, there's
they-
not.
they-
Well said, Stephen.
There's not enough homeless people keeled over. Although we do find one later.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, the
poop for
townspeople
those-
brought the satellite to the town doctor because he was the closest thing to a scientist they knew, and the doctor
Yeah.
was an idiot, and he opened the thing.
Why didn't they just leave it where it was and call somebody, you know?
Well, people
Hey,
in the
y'all,
middle of
let's go
nowhere
open
like
the-
that tend to be pretty
I
self-reliant.
thought it was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting little piece of authenticity that I don't know if you noticed or not. When he drug him out of the chair, the guy's arm stayed stiff. He
Yep.
already had rigor.
Mm.
It stayed in
Yes.
place as he went to the floor. I thought that was neat. Yeah,
Mhm.
Oh, here we go. The other cutting them.
they paid attention to detail in this flick for sure.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
they have.
well, at least he gave him a
Indeed,
hand.
trying to make it look as accurate as they thought that would be. That kind of thing would be. Yeah. It is effective. I mean, as Imperator said before, it's dry in many ways as a narrative, but it's effective.
Yeah, the movie's very effective in what it does. It's creepy. It's even I was like, I knew what the general synopsis of the movie was, and the way it starts off, I'm like, wait, I thought this was about a fucking virus from space. Like the guy's screaming over the radio and everything. I'm like, what the hell? That's not usually something you see in like a pandemic movie.
Yeah, right.
That's what I love about these documentary style things. I'm always going to come back to it. My favorite one is Them, the giant ant movie from the 50s. Yes. You don't know what it is. And as a matter of fact, when they marketed that movie, they purposely didn't tell people what the movie was about. They just knew it was something scary. And
James Cameron stole from that. He stole the little girl, her being traumatized for aliens.
Yeah.
That bit with the rescue.
That's probably Them is probably my favorite science fiction / horror movie from all of the 1950s.
The 1950s.
Yeah. And this one's shot the same way. You don't really, I mean, it's a virus of some sort, but you don't really know the origin of it or what the hell is going on.
It's that Hitchcock style horror.
Yeah. Here's the bomb. You can see it, and it's going to go off at this time. Now, what are they going to do in between to try and find it, right?
Or like you just don't know, or like the original Alien, where you have no fucking clue what's going on, but people are dying and everything's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that there's something in here which inspires many of our CSI type shows that we have now. There's a certain process that gets followed and a certain set of tests and so on that now we have all the CSIs, but they're following a similar routine, except they've got large-breasted coroners and high heels in them. It's otherwise
this one has a baby.
It's a procedural. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like the part here specifically because the doctor tells him what they're going to do. He's like, "Look, this person's alive. This is what we're going to do." Because he said something else to him, like they were going to slice this kid up or something to that effect. And he was like, "No, this kid's alive. We're going to keep her alive and find out what's up with her."
Yeah, they're patients, not
clearly. This child has some kind of immunity. But I wanted to go back to Them because when you brought that up, there's actually this one great scene that shows the investigative process when they go to the hospital to talk to that drunk.
Yeah, it's awesome. That is an awesome scene. Yeah.
And then they put it together and look out the window and, oh my God, they're in the drainage.
Yeah.
The river basin. Mm-hmm. It's always dry in LA.
Yep.
And we need moist.
Moistness.
Moist. We need moist.
This baby is moist.
Just remember, if James Arness, if Marshall Matt Dillon is in a science fiction movie, watch it. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Because he was in that one, and he was the creature in The Thing. Yeah, Howard Hawks' The Thing.
And then they stumble across 70s after a night out.
Yes.
Hey man,
that's actually no. That's before I go out for the night out.
Fair.
I was going to say that's back in the day when you still had hair, right, man?
That's getting me. I'm getting ready to go out there.
We were going to have a live sacrifice.
By the way, in another little touch of verisimilitude.
When I saw that cleaver, I was like, man, you better get your kung fu out. That guy's about to bust your suit. Watch out.
There are alcoholics that drink Sterno.
Oh, yeah.
It'll kill you very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have long once they hit that bottom. Because there's wood alcohol in Sterno. You can't get it out of it. Mm-hmm. And that's the stuff that makes you go blind or kills you. Not good.
Yeah,
that's a guy very much at the end of his rope.
I just keep it to that's a pint tragic, a day is all I drink of that. I've got it down to a pint a day.
Well, it's good you're trying.
Yeah.
There's another one of those. What did you call it, Jerry? There's another one of those. There it is, right there. He's clear. He's completely clear in the shot, and you can see what's going on behind him.
It's a split lens that you put on, and it allows you to focus with one lens there, and with the other one, you pull it in, and as that one focuses, the other lens focuses.
That is such a cool technique. The guy I always remember doing that a lot was De Palma. He did that.
De Palma got it from Hitchcock.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was just that the guy with the glasses on is really very, very, very small, and the other ones are very, very far away.
It's forced perspective. They're actually right next to each other.
Right.
You know, my favorite forced perspective screen of all time is in the film Top Secret.
Yep.
When the guy walks over, the guy
Oh,
dresses
my God, yeah, the
walks over to
phone's
pick up the
giant.
phone, and the phone is huge in the foreground. He picks it up, and it's still huge when he's talking.
Right.
That's the greatest
Yeah.
scene ever.
Oh man.
Anyway, always stuck in my mind, that one.
Which again is connected to Hitchcock because the same thing was done with Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that. I've always thought that was a cool technique.
It almost looked like those guys were holding hands. I swear to God.
No, that part comes later when they're naked.
I'll be back. I got to take a shit.
And they're naked. Yeah. The other bit that was ludicrous, sorry, I forgot to mention when you said the senators in grilling the military guy, was they were all worried about spending $90,000 of taxes. They wouldn't give a shit now. That would be like, that's my daily fucking per diem. That's my per diem.
Right.
It's my liquor tab.
Yeah. Where's the trillion? There should be a trillion on here.
It's like,
And
General, you clearly did not use enough zeros on this paperwork.
That's right. Go back and do it again.
I was getting a distinct Area 51 vibe off of this place as they drove up to it.
Oh yeah. I like this scene when you're talking, because she starts complaining about the road and how bumpy it is, and he's talking about building the facility and the money it was spent. She said, well, they could have spent some money to fix the road. He said, no, it was the opposite. We spent the money to make the road look shitty so nobody would come up here. Which is what
All
you
they
would
did
do.
was take out the ruts from the heavy construction equipment they brought in.
Yeah, they didn't. They spent the money to make the road look like shit.
Yeah, and took out the tire tracks. That's it.
Yeah, which is what you would do. And this stuff to me is extremely accurate. Even Michael Crichton himself after said he made all this up, but there are places like this. He found out later.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So guaranteed.
Most of them, they just
Well,
say
it's
people that
funny
are-
because I just talked about guard duty. One of the nights I had to pull guard duty with my buddy Julio. We had to sit outside an empty fucking cow pasture in 2 folded chairs for like
By the
6
way,
hours.
Speaking of places like this, if you're into conspiracy theories, look up Plum Island off the North Fork of Long Island. It was a U.S. Department of Agriculture site for years. I believe it's now under Homeland Security, but back then it was just, you just couldn't go there. You literally would, there'd be guys with guns at the ferry dock, and there was a special ferry for it. And it turns out that they were operating a level 4 virus laboratory there.
Research lab, yeah.
Yeah, research lab. Yeah, it's
part of that whole thing about
stories
those
about
creatures you find on the beach. They're trying to make connection with that because it's got a really crazy underground web network.
Yeah, I think we'd be surprised, or we wouldn't be, at the amount of shit that's hidden around the country.
Oh yeah,
secret bases, underground shit. We would be staggered if we saw the extent of it. But I loved this stuff when I first saw it. This was the best stuff for me. The facility, as Robert Wise said in the trailer, is the star.
Yeah, it's the hive.
This is the sets in here are brilliant. Absolutely love it.
I love how they still use the same like font and everything and all the computer projections as they do in Star Trek: The Motion Picture 8 years later.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the "we've paid for it" font. It's
yeah, pretty much.
Yes,
we paid for this font, and we're damn well going to use it. I did find the Andromeda Strain font, and I downloaded it for the thumbnail. So there is an Andromeda font, Strain font. But I liked all this stuff. There you go. I mean, that's a pretty cool spot to capture. But yeah, I loved all this Deacon Tam stuff, going down the levels.
And this is pure Crichton, because this is the sort of detail you'd get, because with a throwaway line, we have to disinfect the human body, the dirtiest thing in the universe.
That's right, yeah.
And how do you do that without killing the person in the process?
She gets upset when they have to go to the body testing thing on their own in each room. She's, what the... She knows she's going to get probed.
Yeah.
She's at that point. Hell no. You know. It's all right. The
or when they give her
probing
the suppository later on.
Yes,
Oh,
that
yeah.
as well. Yeah, yeah.
The look on the face.
But this, I love this. The red curved. This is brilliantly done. I think.
Yeah.
The whole red part of the set.
It's extremely cool.
And you know what? There actually have been studies done of the effect of colors on people.
Mm.
And it's why the military, of course, because they're idiots, they paint everything pale green.
Yeah.
They do this in prisons, though. They do this a lot in prisons. They have paid attention to how people react to colors. And for psychological purposes, they try and use the paint as part of the tools of maintaining control of people in prison. But this is just, just these intense colors, and it's all one color. And then the next level's a different color.
So puce
very cool.
actually has some sort of an effect.
Yes, it does. Wow. Red makes you angry, by the way. This is not a good level to hang around on for very long.
Red is high anxiety. They don't need to be staying there for a long time.
Apparently, black makes us all angry too.
Well, you know, I have my moments, but that's my secret. I'm always angry.
Yeah, stay angry, man. Stay angry. Yeah, this bit I stopped it because they have a little exchange here, which is quite cute because they've never met. But I think he says to her, "Oh, but we know of each other's reputations," and she said, "Yeah, we've worshipped each other from afar." She's got all the little nice.
To the end.
Yeah, she's got the nice little. She's got the best lines for sure.
Yes, she does.
Well, as Richard mentioned about colors, affecting people and whatnot, they actually talk about that in this movie. They bring it up like every level's a different color because the naval study about how colors affect people and.
My point was that's verisimilitude because they actually have done those studies. There have been such studies done, and they have come up with color recommendations for different things.
Yeah, this guy's funny because
yeah. Could they have hammered home that this thing was going to mess up sometime during the movie any clearer?
But Stone comes in and says, "Have I got any messages from whatever yet?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "Well, have you checked?" He says, "Look, I've literally only got one job here."
If you had one job
and you failed at that one job.
It's like this might be the origin of the "you had one job" meme.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
this is where he's.
But
I've got one job.
I having worked in tech in software for decades. This reminds me of the comptroller of the company walking into the computer room and asking stupid questions. And it turns out it wasn't a stupid question, but I can see the technician there just having no patience with it because it's like I sit here every day. When the bell rings, I punch it into this. It goes to every level. Everybody sees it. It works every time. And I'm so tired of answering questions about it. And that's the impression I got from this guy.
Off.
He's so bored that he's just not really willing to take any shit from anybody here.
Well, that and the fact that look in the environment he's in. He's working with a bunch of doctors who anybody that knows doctors knows that they've got a god complex and they come off very arrogant.
Oh, yeah.
He has to deal with this a lot, apparently. So. Yeah,
but he's staring at that red wall all day, so he's probably ready to kill somebody.
Just ready to rip this guy's head off.
Yeah, he is probably.
He's fingering his gun right now.
Red rum,
red rum, red rum.
What was he saying? Red room.
Red room.
Look out. Red wedding.
Would you fucking leave me alone? That's how we all feel at work, isn't it?
Oh God, yes.
But if it was me, I would have asked them to get all the lights to flash in sequence because clearly the lights were not coordinated. Well, here's one of the only other babes in the thing. She's in it for 5 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn it. Come on.
Levitt's just about to make a pass at her.
There is one other babe. She's the voice over the intercom system, and the surgeon decides to come on to her.
Yeah. Until he finds out she's 63 years old.
Yes. And she records voice prompts for automated systems.
Yeah, the exact line is I've got it here because I love that line.
Yep.
Oh God, I have it here somewhere.
She makes a living.
Oh yeah, her voice is quite luscious. Well, the voice belongs to Miss Gladys Stevens, who is 63 years old. She lives in Omaha and makes a living taping messages for voice reminder systems. Okay, much obliged. That puts him right off.
Funny, man.
That was a great.
And today she'd be a YouTuber.
Yes, she would.
She'd be a TikToker.
Sure.
Right.
She'd be an OnlyFans. And here we have our this is when he starts to tell him that you're the guy. You've got the special key. Like, if we're all going to get fucked up, you're the only one that can decide not to fuck us up.
Right. And then
because you're single.
Proving that he's an arrogant surgeon and didn't read a goddamn thing, he says, "You really expect me to fire this thing?" And Stone says, "You don't understand. That key doesn't fire it. That key is the only thing that can stop it once it starts automatically."
Yeah.
And then he gets this look on his face like, "Oh shit."
Oh.
But I've always thought it was a little bit off that they said they used this single man hypothesis or whatever. And so you're single, so you're bound to be dispassionate. No, he's not. He's a single guy. He's loaded with testosterone. He just wants to get laid and party.
He's got a lot to do, right?
He's not dispassionate. He's the least dispassionate. He's already thinking how he can get into the pants of the nurse. You know,
if you wanted somebody dispassionate,
I mean, to be fair, I would too.
On the Switch, you'd have a father of 5, right? Who's like 50 years old, tired of giving his kids money, and a wife that nags him all day. That's who you'd give this.
Like you just hit that guy next to the trigger with a bottle of whiskey and a fucking.
That's right.
But by the way, I'd like to point out. I mean, these diagrams probably look pretty, like no big deal today. But back in 1971, they were that really looked like holy crap.
It looked like an Irwin Allen movie to me at this point. Because Irwin Allen loved to use colors like this, and man,
and it's a government installation because when they initially put in 3 substations, they put them at the points of a 5-pointed star, and they're only just now adding the other 2. I mean, if you were going to put 3 in per level, you'd make them equidistant. And then you'd have to put in 3 more to get in between them. But no, they put in 3 in the pattern that would support 5. That's the one thing in here that didn't make sense to me.
Well, there's more to it than that.
Was anybody thinking?
The substation bit is the weakness in the whole thing. Because they've built the main station that he's put his key into already. And he says there's a substation on every level. Well, in this $90 million complex they've built full of high-tech equipment, the only things they didn't wire up were the substations.
Yes. It's the only thing that's not working.
The ones they were adding,
like the equivalent of putting a dimmer light in the wall, and they've left them hanging, the wires hanging. Like, come on. Come on. The most important thing in the building, and you haven't finished it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing that wouldn't go boom, and you haven't wired it, of course.
Yes. Now, the thing we're also missing, I think, when because we're not obviously hearing the audio, is that they've already discussed why because they think, or at least Stone thinks, that they're launching a nuke at that town to blow the shit out of it. Right. But he doesn't know they haven't done it because the communications are not working.
Right.
Right. So they're operating on the assumption that everything on the surface at the point of infection, a point of the breakout, is contained and destroyed. So now the only source of this infection is coming down into the core of the laboratory section of this installation. And everybody outside's fine. No problems left. All we got to do is work in here and figure this thing out.
Maybe wondering what the horrendous explosion just was, but
Yeah. But no, they don't. They're unaware, and we are aware. The president said, "No, I want to wait a day or 2." But these guys are not aware of that.
Yeah, discount Death Star plans, as Chris says. Like the Death Star, they never finished that bloody thing ever. I mean, it was like, what a fucking crappy job. That contractor should have been fired.
Well, that's what they get for blowing up the planet before it was done.
That's true, exactly. Kitty Bear is the nihilist amongst us, of course, the misanthropic nihilist. Yeah, I must admit, there's a certain attraction in that thought. Yeah, let's just fire the thing and see what happens.
Screw it.
Screw it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, and I mean, it's us. Like, you have a bunch of people like us put them next to a shiny red button. Like, we're not gonna push it.
I know. Press the button. Press the button.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
It's like that scene in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where where he presses the button and the light comes on. It says, "Do not press this button again."
I imagine Kitty Bear's favorite comedy is Dr. Strangelove.
What a great
movie! Yeah. So this is the bit where she objected to going into the room because she felt that there was going to be some probing, and I think she was right.
I think she was absolutely right.
Because
the wires that hooked up to her head.
Yeah, Stone did talk about the GI tract not being sorted out yet. So, so the GI came in and explored the tract, is what they
right. This will only take a second.
And they say, couldn't they got a hot one?
Right.
She's funny.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
They needed a character like her in the movie to bust things up.
Because it would have been even drier without
Oh my
it.
God. Yeah.
Her yelling at a computer. How often do you do that these days? Ragweed pollen.
Oh, I know.
She's the Bones McCoy of this.
Every
movie.
time I talk to an automated person on the phone,
So I know what it is. Stone, I've got it written here. Stone gives her the suppository and he says, I have to give you this. We haven't done a thing about the GI tract yet. We must be as germ-free as possible. And she looks at it and says, anyone want to join me for a smoke? That's a great line.
There they are hooking up the probes. Yeah.
There we go. And there's this giant steam-powered probe coming out from the wall behind her. Did it really have to be 18 inches long? No, but they gave us an extra $10 million.
Hey,
we had to
how did that
somehow.
camera get there?
Yeah, that was an artfully placed camera, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
It's like, I get the 18 inches, but why'd you have to make it serrated?
That's right. It really have to be serrated.
It was ribbed for her pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have the sneaky.
All he gets is the tiny.
Oh
prick.
yeah, you can't go into a military installation without getting a shot.
Yeah.
No
Right.
doubt
The
about
tiny
it.
prick.
It's the pneumatic syringe.
She's
there
got a
that sneaks
smile
up
on her
him.
face now, as is he, of course. He enjoyed his immensely.
He's happy. They're all happy except for her.
Well, of course he enjoyed it. He designed it.
That's right.
He's why it's serrated.
Yeah, that's true.
I love how they showed you the burning of the uniforms every time they go to a different level. You know.
Yep, down the oubliette.
I think this is where they've already told them it's paper uniforms as well, a special type of paper uniform.
Now, how did this not hurt like hell? What they're fixing to do to them? How did this not hurt like hell?
And I'm not sure
because according to the science quoted in this scene, their outer layer of skin has been turned to ash. How does that not hurt?
It must. I thought they were going to do some fencing practice.
Fencing practice at Liberace's place.
Dong blocking thing.
I think part of the reason is that they're not using heat to do it. I think they're actually using something.
Sensia Dildo
UV.
is killing it in the chat.
He is.
Man.
He's always.
It'll hurt later.
In rare form.
Steven's got to go. Thanks for joining in, buddy. I appreciate your comments. Have a great day, mate. Thanks for dropping
he's
by.
so white.
I mean,
yeah.
How
This
did
is-
that
this
not
is to
hurt
make them
like
even-
hell? How
this
did
is to
that
make
not?
them-
Because it burned their hair off. They are basically slick from the neck down now
Yeah.
because of that helmet.
It's like a bit of a Brazilian waxing,
Keith.
but done by.
Yeah.
Keith, I got a
Should've
question
waxed
about that. Keith, hey Keith.
Yeah.
You think black guys were white too after that?
Oh,
They were light gray.
Wow.
That's pretty bad, isn't it? Do you know what, Keith? That's it. He's out. Sorry.
Wow.
He's out.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck you. It'll be like the palm scene in Blazing Saddles.
Right?
I have a comment for you.
0.0.
Yeah.
Double. secret.
Double secret
top
probation.
secret.
Double secret probation.
Yep.
So it doesn't take that long when they get down here to start feeling about how to use all this equipment. I guess they're supposed to be super experts. So, but meanwhile, back at the ranch,
Wow.
Getting the old split screens again.
Yep, and they're fixing to get into how they already mentioned they're going to.
I like that they're showing that he's putting things together.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Now,
you can knock that shit out in
her husband-
Cyberlink.
That's his wife, right?
Yes.
Go back to that one. Why
Oh,
is she?
hang on.
Why does she look like she's dead?
Because it's a dream sequence. He's imagining
Yep.
what's going to happen if it gets out.
Okay. I was wondering. I was
Did
like,
I go
wait a
back?
minute. Did they whack her after the party or something?
I mean,
I
you
was
never
like,
know.
what
She
the
did ask
hell?
questions.
Yeah, she was kind of, probing.
And she
into
kept staring
stuff.
at that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's the bit where this is the most important piece of equipment in the fucking facility.
This is going to keep you from being incinerated.
And it's
This
lying
is
there.
so military right here.
Unconnected.
It is. No doubt.
Absolutely military.
The only thing missing is that it actually does work, but it only works if you use a screwdriver.
Right.
That's true. Well, you could grab all the cables and, but yeah, that's the only thing they really need. And it's, I think I might have gone back too far here for that split screen.
Funniest thing I ever heard going to a base that wasn't being maintained anymore. When you go into the
Yeah,
the
that scene right
bathrooms,
there. That is his wife.
you'll
That's
see
his wife,
it is.
Well, that was after the party. After he left, things got a bit wacky.
I was about to say, man.
Oh, there's virus. Oh yeah.
What were you going to say about the
We're
demilitarized
unmaintained
base?
anymore. And the first thing I remember asking going into the latrine, the bathroom,
Mhm.
was what are the buckets for?
Just covers up Gary nicely. That
we don't ask what the bucket's for.
Well, I found out what the bucket's for is that the toilets don't work.
That's it.
So the plumbing. So you have to fill the fire bucket up with water to flush the
To
toilet.
flush. Yep.
And that was at Fort Ord. Fort Ord.
That's in California, right?
Yeah.
Ord? Yeah.
It's gone now, isn't it?
Well, it was pretty much gone then. We were doing an FTX there. I went into that bathroom. I'm like, what's with the buckets next to the toilet?
The only place I served in California was the Presidio. It was based
I always
at
wanted
the
to go
base.
there. It closed down before I got to go.
Yeah.
So Dildo's making a good point. He's got a good point, Dildo. This movie is very anti-statist. In actual fact, there are messages that could be interpreted in it as such when we start to get into what is the purpose of the base and.
Well,
what
also
is
the
it
fact that even at this point, every government official you've seen is either A, useless, or B, incompetent.
Yeah, so nothing's changed.
No,
days.
that's a completely accurate portrayal.
And the two most likable people in the movie are the two that are like anti-science. The doctor and the chick. They're both radicals in the other one's eyes. You know what I mean? So.
No, we were told to fill them before.
Right.
I'm sorry,
But
Sean.
Michael Crichton was accused of that at the time, that this was an anti-military, anti-state, anti-whatever movie. And he said, no, it isn't. I never wrote it like that at all. Now, you can read some of that into it, but he said it was written entirely as a procedural, and the government are not the bad guys here, neither are the military. It's just a thing that they're doing.
In fact, many of the military in it are victims.
Yeah, so he was totally against that viewpoint.
They're on the front line,
He said it had absolutely no intention of making it that way. That wasn't the way it was.
And Vince, this is the facility where the 3 seashells were actually developed.
Shut up.
but keep in mind that was an easy accusation to make in 1971.
Yeah.
I mean, because the anti-war movement had been
Oh
a huge
yeah,
thing.
we're talking 71. We're about to leave Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The very next year.
Core breach. But equally, others accused him of giving the government ideas. Well, I think they were probably having those ideas anyway. So it's
They didn't need Hollywood's help.
The hallways in this, I think they reused them for Star Trek: The Motion Picture because it looks like a lot of the internal shots from the Enterprise on that. especially the doors and stuff like that.
There is
I think they redecorated those hallways and reused them.
Yeah. Could be, because they're pretty effective.
Yeah.
That's very effective set, that. I like those.
It is.
Yeah.
I love
the other
when
thing.
Captain Kirk gets a little lost.
Yep.
Yeah, where am I going? I would get lost too, yeah. But as Crichton also said, major technological crises proceed with complete indifference to personalities. He wasn't trying to make a book that was pro or anti anything or any individual or group. It was just a story about what may happen in this scenario. So
1971, they're using robotics. Wow.
Yeah.
No, those
and
aren't,
those aren't robotics.
Those are called Waldos. They are they mimic the motion of your hand at the other end of the mechanism.
Right.
No, robots are autonomous. I studied that in physics.
So Chris has mentioned Fantastic Voyage, which we mentioned earlier. We haven't. I'm definitely adding it to the list, though, and we will get around to it.
Oh my
I haven't
God,
seen that movie in a long
Raquel
time.
Welch.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
We've been patting that list lately.
Is it? Aren't they trying to save the life of a senator in that movie? Isn't that what it is? Something like that.
How did they fit Raquel Welch inside such a small space?
Right. That rack could not fit in anything that small. No way.
Sorry, Imperatus. What were you saying, my friend?
I was saying we kind of been patting that list lately.
Yeah,
we have. We've got a few things on the list, and you and I are going to talk about we're going to do something for Hammer in October.
Still want to get to that canon movies idea I had too.
Oh, canon as well, yeah.
And by
Endless
the way,
lists.
There is another book of Crichton's that I loved but hated the movie. Was Sphere.
Yep.
Sphere. Yeah.
The book is so much better than the film. They fucked that movie up.
Yeah.
This is one
Just
of the
like
most...
say hello to Dustin. Keto Simple.
Oh, Keto's
Good to
here.
see you,
Hey,
mate.
what's up, buddy?
Good to see you, mate.
You know,
This is
I
one
really
of the most
did.
poignant scenes with the rhesus monkey. Because I don't know how they got this monkey to act this way.
I remember reading at the beginning of it. Of course, you know, they had all the credits at the beginning of it. They said that the ASPCA or something like that monitored all the animal scenes.
And
I'm wondering how they did that too.
Well,
it was really
you do
effective.
know also that it was through this film that they finally came up with Reese's Feces. They're delicious.
But
I mean that's
I
what
gotta
Dustin's
say,
barbecue. That's what Dustin's barbecuing right now.
I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen a Hollywood actor do a more evocative death scene
Right?
than this monkey.
This monkey tore it up, man.
Yeah,
He should be getting paid more than Jennifer Lawrence. That's for sure.
he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for best.
And the thing
supporting
that I
actor.
considered there is, did they humanely put it to, knock it out?
Right, knock it out. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Because I always wondered if that's because I could never see a monkey doing it that
I don't know. I'm willing to
No.
bet it was trained to fall over and play dead.
I don't know if you could train him to do that. I'm telling
I'm
you, it
gonna
looks
look
like
it
he's
up.
fighting it.
Like,
Yeah.
there's always a
Looks like
trigger.
he's fighting it.
Google
food, sex, money, whatever the monkey wants.
Flatulence.
Flatulence.
I think that's how they train the monkey.
The monkey wanted the anal probing, so.
Ooh.
But yeah, this is something that you would have to do in this scenario, whether you were an animal lover or not. It's
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
What they're trying to determine here is what is the avenue of transmission? Is it through air? Is it through contact? So they first of all they just established that it's still dangerous because both animals died.
Yeah.
Now they got to figure out whether it's airborne, which is the worst case scenario because then it can spread the fastest.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Go.
The monkey was killed by being placed in a large set filled with carbon dioxide. When the monkey when he was inside the monkey cage, which contained oxygen, when it was open, the animal was rendered unconscious by the CO2.
Really?
Wow.
So
That's what
they
they
did.
did?
So they didn't
Yes, they
actually
really
kill
did
it, but
They
came
knocked
close.
it out because I can't believe a monkey could act that well. I just
Yo,
Yeah,
and I gotta
They did
say,
something.
wait a minute. I gotta
it
say,
recovered immediately when the oxygen was put back in the room.
right. But the problem is this: there is a Lake Nyasa in Africa had a massive eruption of CO2 gas from it, and it killed a whole lot of people in the surrounding area. And the survivors testified that it was painful and it left burns. Pure carbon dioxide is not just a knockout gas. It is a really unpleasant environment to be thrust into. So just saying, that would not be allowed today. That would be considered animal cruelty.
Next to being locked in a room with someone who's subsisted on a diet of Dr. Pepper and beans. Yeah.
It was the monkeypox. Dr. Pepper and beans.
Well, don't people try to commit suicide sometimes by just sitting in their car and turning it on in a closed garage?
That's carbon monoxide. That's a totally different effect.
Yeah, carbon dioxide actually is one of the most horrible fucking ways to die.
Let's put it this way. Have you ever burped up after chugging a Coke and it went through your nose and burned your nose?
Yes.
That's carbon dioxide.
Ooh.
So
that would not be fun.
So
I think
and beans would work then.
It would. I was actually thinking they should use convicted mass murderers or child abusers.
Well,
That's what I would have used. Yeah. But then I'm old fashioned. I love the hook, the ring at the top of his head. They could just lift him up from the ground with that. And, but this is the world's biggest condoms again.
And this is why you really see that they don't actually eat anything, because if you rip ass in this suit, it's gonna be long time this big.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy that for a while.
See the suit bulging like this.
Like, what is that movie with
Stew in your own
Is that
juices, if you
Rocket-
will?
Is that Rocket Man where he inflates his spacesuit with it?
Wow. Intense.
Yeah.
So here's another by the book procedural thing.
Oh, when she spoke for the whole audience, when she said, "Why are we spending all this time looking at the outside of this thing?"
Yeah,
she
exactly.
spoke for me for sure.
Yes, he is a real patronizing get here because he taps her on the head and says, "We need to use this computer in here." She should have slapped him one at that
right,
point.
knock the hell out of
She should have.
Yeah,
she should have.
Dick punch.
Right.
Should have got Dick Manchek in there.
Yeah, Manchek. That's a dick punch back in the 70s.
Calling Dick Manchek. Calling Dick Manchek. Is Dick Manchek and Patrick Fitzgerald here? Gerald Fitzpatrick.
And to point out, when she was younger, she was a cute little thing.
Yeah. Probably. She is the best thing in this movie, I think, from a human point of view.
Yes. Her character and the surgeon.
I did like the subplot
Yeah,
of
the surgeon's not bad.
I did like the subplot of what is wrong with her.
Yes.
Yep.
It had me thinking one way until we found out what it was. Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, basically, we're like
That was a nice touch. It
like
really
everyone's
was.
favorite character is also the weak link.
Right?
She is, yeah, and she
Yes.
even misses the result they're looking for at one point.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that from the first time I watched the movie as a kid. That stuck in my mind. There, it's on the screen now, and she's going, yeah, bloody women.
Well, as they said, if she'd let anybody know that she was epileptic, she would never have been allowed in any of the jobs she's had.
And she was the stand-in, of course, because the guy who was meant to go was getting his appendix out. So,
Rock fan, check the private chat.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Keith,
Let me.
take it easy, buddy.
Oh, Keith, no, thank you for being here, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Good talking to you, man.
And
Hey, it was great being allowed to hang out with you guys. You guys just enjoy the rest of it for me, and I hope to be invited back sometime soon.
oh, it's an open
Every time
invitation
you're in
for
the
you, my
group.
friend. Open invitation. And before you go, you get anything you want to plug?
You know what? Just
Gary.
when you get a chance, just check out our show sometime. Anything that would. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, all right, we will do, and Gary, I'm sure will give us some more detail. But yeah, pop culture minefield, awesome
Thank you
stuff.
very, very, very much. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Have a great day and with your family, and hope everything's okay.
Oh, I hope so too. Thank you.
All right, brother.
See you, buddy.
Take care, Keith. Good to see you.
Take care, mate.
Have a good one, man.
Take care.
I really, if you guys haven't
He's a
watched
great
the
guy.
show,
My
I
biggest
finally
concern is
caught it
his mom
during
has
the
been
day.
sick.
And, oh man.
Yeah. Well, let's hope.
What time do you guys do that show in the mornings, Jerry?
10 o'clock. He wasn't there today. It's so funny. He showed up right after the final titles and he woke up.
Bam.
I
Okay.
didn't want to wake him up this morning. I'm like, come on, man.
Well,
You need some
he's
sleep.
a great guy.
Yeah, that's a great show you guys do. Love
Thank
it.
you.
It's even better when I'm on it.
Yeah, the wee Tadger shows up.
The Tadger.
I love this filter, this multi-filter setup. They could just
I
dial
dug
in.
that too. I thought that was cool as hell, man.
But they
And it's
made-
probably
they
something
made
that really
one-
exists.
They made one really bad mistake when with the label for microns. They use the label for meters and capital M.
Yeah.
Micron is a Greek letter.
Okay.
So they
So
injected
The only
mouse-
reason why I
It's one
knew
of
what a
the-
micron
given-
was because of the stories about masks during the virus and
Yeah,
how,
right there.
how many microns they filter out and what size and all that stuff. That's the only reason why I knew it. I thought this gauge was cool as hell. I really did.
So
Yeah, that's
what they're
wrong.
saying
That's
is
completely wrong.
That is
What they're
completely
saying is
wrong. That's
the
2 meters,
injected-
not 2 microns.
Right. I was
Injected-
going to say
But
that's
the
meters.
thing is,
Yeah.
and the only reason I mention it, I'm not trying to nitpick this, except that so many other things for the technology of the day are done really
Well, the medical
accurately.
details are, and that's really surprising that somebody screwed up like that.
Right. That's my point. So I know, folks in the audience. I know we're nitpicking this. We're making fun of certain things, but I gotta say, this movie really was for its day, astonishing, and I think it still holds up.
Well, you look at this stuff here in these labs. A lot of this still looks like it could be used today. It's still
The whole
there's no
process,
computer.
the scientific process they
Yeah.
use, it's what they do
The
when they're trying to
electron-
figure this
Yeah,
stuff
there's
out.
only one bad visual effect in this whole film, and that was when they glow, because that's
Yes.
how it would look.
Yeah.
But here we are getting down into Gary's underwear.
Oh my god,
and,
yeah. This freaked me out as a kid.
Well, even the inside of the satellite itself with that what looks like tiny chainmail when you get close to it. I think
Yeah.
what is the purpose of that stuff? It's a bit weird looking. It almost looks like an alien itself.
It looks like a braided nylon net where there's slack so that when something hits it, because keep in mind they mention, they're scooping things out of space, right? You're not scooping something up that's just floating out there like dust on the air. You're scooping something up that's in orbit around the Earth. It's got a velocity to it. If it's going the opposite direction from you, it's like being shot with the world's fastest tiny bullet. So
Well, indeed.
that net is supposed to hold together when a micrometeorite or something like that, which is precisely what
It's
they
one
have
of the
found.
biggest threats in space.
That's what they're trying to catch with
Yes.
Scoop.
That's
They
what
were
they're
deliberately
after with the
catching it.
scoop. Yeah.
So
So,
I just
that
wanted
was
to-
basically the catcher's mitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out how good of it was for them to hook the alcoholic guy up to several pints of whiskey there.
Right.
On-
Keeping him infused.
Why
The
is
kid's
his
got-
IV gold?
It's either piss or whiskey. It's one or the other.
Right.
Irish
The
whiskey.
recycling.
It depends on which end it's coming out.
That's right. Yeah. It could be both. He is an
It's true.
alcoholic.
That's very true.
And I
Yeah,
hate to
very
keep coming
good.
back to them, but I thought of the old drunk that they interviewed in them when I saw him and when he was talking.
Oh,
and everything.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Good
wanna
connection.
Yeah,
And
I
I
want to
gotta-
see. Sorry, I was going to say I want to see Mark Hall here and the nurse getting it on in those costumes. I want them to.
Yeah.
I want them to try.
Was it like the safe sex scenes from Naked Gun?
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I gotta say though, if this guy's an alcoholic and he hasn't had a drink in 24 hours and
He'd
he's
be going nuts.
locked in a room with a screaming baby,
Right?
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I would have been up and at one of those people if I could have gotten off that bed.
Yeah, you would have been smashing things and trying to break the walls and
Yep. I'd have been trying to get the hell out of there. It's like
They
you
call
at
it
least...
delirium tremors.
Yeah, I know.
That shit's fucking nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A
Nuclear Magna scanner.
We're going to scan the Magnas.
Magna scanner.
Yeah.
Now,
Is it a Maga scanner?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This monkey's supposed to be dead, right? Because
Right.
I saw
That's what I thought, yeah.
No,
He's supposed to be alive.
No, he's
No,
dead.
this one's dead.
This one's dead, and I saw him move a couple of times when he was on there.
Terrible actor.
Yeah, he's a
Awful
terrible
actor.
actor. I was just wondering why they didn't use still footage of it. You know what I mean? To freeze it. You know.
He lost the lead in Soylent Green because of that.
Yeah, they had to go with Heston.
No, actually, no. That's another monkey because he's looking at the spread of the coagulation through the body. So it's a second test monkey.
Oh, okay.
And they're scanning him while he's infected, and all that red is
I got you.
Basically the way this thing is spreading through him.
And this is basically a very primitive
total
version.
moron. Then I thought it was the dead
this
monkey
is
from
basically
earlier.
Primitive MRI. I know where you're going with that. Yeah, you're right.
It's just 71 era MRI where it's just like this kind of happened in a here-ish direction.
Right.
You know what would have made that scene there we just saw better if a xenomorph had come flying out of that thing.
Oh man, there we go.
Don't feel too bad, Joe. I watched this movie last night for the first time, and I got to the ending and went, "What the fuck?"
By the way, do you guys know
why did you put my jizz rag in there?
Wow.
Do you guys know that MRI is a new name for the same technology because the old name freaked people out?
Yeah, the nuclear.
Nuclear magnetic resonance was the original name, and people said, "Nuclear, you got a nuclear something in there?"
Yeah.
So they changed it to magnetic resonance imaging. It's the same thing.
One Man Show is correcting us on some of the mathematics. I always thought Angstrom was the name of a Norwegian death metal band. Angstrom.
It probably is.
Probably is, yeah.
Yeah, angstroms are normally used to measure the wavelength of light. Whereas microns are used to measure machining.
I would make a terrible scientist at this because I would say, just give me maximum magnification straight away. I'd go right to the most. I wouldn't go in stages. I'd say, just hit it.
Look at that shit.
Well, that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to get inside the thing, and then if they saw something, jack up the magnification. He's like, no, we have to follow the procedure.
Yeah, the dude'stronaut.
And look, most scientists are like that. You know,
This
they
is
want
where he
a controlled
patronizes her.
environment. They
Yeah,
want a step-by-step
It's not on there, but
process.
yeah, he smacked her on the head there.
So they can rule out mistakes. That's why they want
Right.
to do
See,
that.
it's a
They're
jizz
going to
rag.
be-
It's a
right,
jizz
'cause
rag.
They're going to
That's
be
a jizz rag.
second
Pirate
guessed
metal.
after the fact. So they want all of their I's dotted and T's crossed
Yes.
if they're honest.
Right. Because they're trying to prove a hypothesis is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rogen would have not been a better monkey. I'm sorry, Dildo.
Actually, they're trying to disprove a hypothesis, which is why he's being methodical, because he has to show that there's only one answer, and it's the one they find.
Right.
That's it, basically. That's
Just
the idea behind being methodical. It's boring as hell. I've done it at Bell Laboratories. I worked in engineering there for a summer. I can tell you that it is the most mind-numbing work imaginable to do stuff like this.
But it's needed.
Oh, good, yeah.
But it's needed.
Split diopter there.
Oh, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the split is actually to the right of the screen that they're looking at. You can actually see the split.
Yep.
Now, what we're actually seeing here is a close-up of Gary's peanuts.
Oh,
Is that the green part or the rocky part?
No, the rocky
green
part. The green part's
the-
just, it's
corrupted.
smegma.
That's smegma.
The rocky
Yes,
part.
smegma.
We're getting our first real look at monkeypox.
Smegma.
Monkeypox.
Live look at monkeypox.
Fucking
and how
70s. Yeah,
how it's
fucking
cultured.
smeg.
Yes.
Yes, smeg.
Smeg. Smeghead. This movie was way ahead of its time then. If this is he's going up to touch it now. Ooh, ice feels
That's
good.
Smeg. See that? That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Like, don't touch it. It pulses when you
That
do
is
that.
the
Again,
raw
it's right
animal
out after
magnetism of Gary. See, it
That's
just
right.
draws people in.
But that
Yeah.
previous shot was
Pulsing.
again using a split diopter. I love how they use it in this. I never noticed that before.
I didn't even think of that, Gary. I didn't.
Yep.
It did not occur to me.
It's very cool.
I would just because I've never heard of a split diopter. I would just say that sometimes the depth of field gets really wonky in this film.
It's the Blob, only it's green.
Right.
And it's really
It's
tiny.
so that was the part we were talking about earlier. The pulsating is so freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, she.
Yeah,
see,
like that right there. When it
I don't
flashes
want to
like
give it
that.
away, but she looks at it at one point before they both see it, and she thinks it's her.
She
What's going on
blanks.
with her? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
she doesn't believe what she saw. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Now they're going to try plugging shit in.
Plugging shit in and taking stuff out. This is where they go get the rock. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They move it to a different lab. Yeah.
Yes.
The tweezers. That's why he picked up the tweezers.
Yes. We'll move it to the super nucleo retaining plunger lab.
That's it.
Some kind of
like the
rotating
sweat.
flange unit is required.
The glasses, man. Let me tell you, I cannot remember a time not wearing glasses, and I wore those most of my
Yeah.
life as a youngster. The Buddy Hollies was all I sported because my dad was in the Air Force. Yeah.
Look at the
Yep.
sweat
I had
on
those
his face.
when I was a kid. I
with
had
the
the Buddy
effort.
Hollies.
That was one nice touch for how hard he's having to work to make sure he gets this thing and doesn't drop it.
Yeah.
'Cause can you imagine dropping that microscopic rock in the middle of that table?
Right.
It was-
You'll
it's
never
okay,
find it.
You'll
okay, the
never
cleaner-
find it.
The cleaners will get it. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
Send the cleaner in.
Now that guy, I recognize that guy. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of
The
these guys were
technician that was
TV.
complimenting him on how he ran it.
That's Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah, he plays cops a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And bad guys. He's a great
Yep.
bad guy.
Yes.
They were a very competent cast,
Look at
just
that
not very
shit.
recognizable.
Yeah.
But that was actually, I thought that was a great touch to not use a Steve McQueen or Charlton Heston or
Yeah.
one of those.
Yeah.
These are just, these are anonymous scientists pulled out of dinner parties and labs wherever and shipped off to the desert of the American Southwest. And you buy it then. Because it might look a little bit familiar, but it's not an instant, oh, that's so-and-so.
Yeah, you put Paul Newman in the role of Stone, and he's giving orders the whole movie. You know,
Right.
and if you cross him, you're going to get punched. Yeah, it's just, it would feel totally different. I'm with you. The fact that these were all character actors that had been, I don't know, how do you put it, workmanlike in their careers, people that people recognized who they were, but they weren't. How do I say this?
They could get the
They didn't
job
get
done.
a false front from a big name actor. They get you're receiving the message that they're giving because there's no preconceived notions about who they are. Yeah,
Right.
They're recognized, but not
message being sent
celebrities.
by-
Exactly.
There's no message being sent by name recognition. You don't have expectations of
Yeah.
these people because you don't remember where you saw them before in a big role.
Yeah, their character. You believe the character's not them. It's,
Right.
It's about the character. But
that's a great move.
So I think it was good
I'm
casting. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a modern movie that's done that in a really good way. I guess I mean, we know who they all are now, but I would say maybe The Usual Suspects was a movie like that, where you had a bunch of guys at the time. Nobody knew who they were really. The biggest name in it's Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne
But
would have been.
and he wasn't a huge superstar either. So, and that movie came off super effective. You know what I mean? So
That's a good point. Yeah, there's probably a few examples. I can't think of one right now, but that's a good one.
that's just the one that came to my head first.
That's a good one. Yeah, and I don't think it was a budget thing. I think they deliberately made that decision to
I
go
agree.
for non-name actors.
Right. And it
I
worked.
I don't think it was because they couldn't afford anybody else. I think it was because these are the people they wanted. And if it's a documentary, I mean, think about it. If you're watching a
1982
documentary,
themed characters. Yeah, that's a good analogy too. Kurt Russell, he had been in a few movies, but he wasn't a superstar. Yeah.
but
This
but
was
like
a great twist in the movie when you realize there's more to this thing, or it's changed in some way. I like.
Yeah, I
this
was
part.
wondering what was going on with the mask with it crumbling. I was like, whoa, what the hell?
Real surprise moment in the movie. Yeah.
yes,
It,
and
think,
this is where the finger pointing starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is where the finger pointing starts. You didn't realize it would turn into a plastic eating monster, and so forth and so on. They were trying to plan for all contingencies, and they found out that there were just contingencies they couldn't plan for. That's one of them.
Best laid plans of mice and men.
Mice and men.
Yes.
Gang after Glay.
And they still gang after Glay, and they still haven't nuked the place yet.
Right.
No.
They should nuke. They were supposed to have nuked the town, but the president didn't want to.
And
you got to deal with the bureaucracy and the red tape, right?
Think about being the president that has to nuke a U.S. town.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of the reason, it's bad optics no matter what.
Exactly. Because by the way, by 1971, above ground nuclear testing by treaty had been banned.
Well, they mentioned that.
They mentioned that in the movie, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they
setting
mentioned
off a nuclear bomb in the American Southwest would immediately have created a diplomatic firestorm.
So they said, well, we'll have to tell the Russians. Well, that means they'd have to tell them they had this biological warfare base, which is possibly
of paper.
Yeah.
And the thing with this is like, it would have caused like a political and diplomatic firestorm, but at that point, like the level of damage we're talking about is so catastrophic that is the least of anyone's worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually having done a series on the HBO's Chernobyl, this was mirrored by the Soviet Union in 1986. They were more concerned with locking down information.
Optics, yeah.
The optics, and that was blown open on them. They couldn't control it because the dust blew away and was detected elsewhere, and that blew the whole story open. And at that point, all they could do was try and contain the thing so it didn't render half of Asia uninhabitable.
Yep.
Well, in this case, containment would have been nuking the site and then having to explain what happened.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the last thing you're thinking about is optics, because something this deadly could just wipe out life on Earth in days.
You deal with the fallout literally later. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the idea that a government would put its own, diplomatic niceties ahead of let's just solve the problem. Let's just contain this problem and then figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah. Are we going to let the entire continent die, or are we going to deal with the problem?
I'm not sure what Sean is saying here. Are you saying that they would just simply unleash O.J. Simpson on the meteor?
All I know is Mancheck is on top of it, guys.
Mancheck is dealing with it.
Yeah.
Gender Check is dealing with it. I think they could claim it was just claim it was a meteor hit the town. Who's going to know the difference apart from that large mushroom cloud?
Boy, I bet they wish they had the Men in Black's flashy thingies.
Norberg. Yep.
Norberg. So they're looking at the object and they're trying to figure out the chemical composition of it. Meanwhile, in the other lab, Hall and the nurse are looking at the blood types. So they're both attacking the problem from different angles. Not knowing that some other shit is going on outside now.
Yeah, this whole idea, the dramatic irony of we know all of the stuff going on outside this facility while they have no clue.
Yeah,
because they're incommunicado because of that piece of paper in the bell.
Yeah. So Amino Well, that's right. They don't know other shit's going down.
Yeah, so they're missing critical pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
The powers that be don't know that they don't know.
Right.
But yeah, this is an interesting thing because it's got no DNA, no RNA, and it doesn't use amino acids, which are the building blocks of our chemistry, life chemistry. So it is something completely new.
But then they go to the next scene here, or the next slide here, but it's made out of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen.
Yeah,
so it's organic, but is
right.
very crystalline.
Yeah, but
organic.
so's wait a minute. So's alcohol. So's perfume. I mean, that doesn't make it alive. It just means it's more organic as opposed to table salt.
Yeah. But even alcohol contains amino acids.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. So the first thing you think is, it's a silicone form of life, and it can't be that because of the other things that are in place too. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, that's the thing. It's so alien. It's just like, wait, it's made out of the same building blocks, but it doesn't behave like anything we know.
And it is alive. It's moving.
Mm-hmm. It's
growing. Yeah.
And it's reacting too and changing.
Yeah. And it was at the point where they're all starting to. No, I don't think they've reached it yet. They're not arguing about the nature of the base yet, but they're getting there. But yeah, this is interesting stuff because all of it, you don't quite see it here because of the way that I've clipped these, but he reaches in there and picks out the bone.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny that these guys didn't have at least gas masks on or something around this thing.
Yeah.
What's going on? They're just walking around. Yeah, just pick it up. Don't worry about it.
Look what I found.
The guy's flesh was obviously flayed off the bone by something, but go ahead, touch it. It's all right.
Just go ahead and pick it up. It's just like an airborne virus.
That's the director, isn't it? Isn't that the director? It's Bob Weiss.
It is Bob Weiss. So, you do realize that Manchek is the most macho person in the US in this film. And he'll just pick anything up. Exactly. He doesn't have to worry.
Ready. He's ready.
It's up there with like Lance Mannion.
Lance Mannion.
He's repelling. He's repelling the virus through the power of his testosterone.
If he was Latin, he'd be called biggest
Chuck
dickus.
Norris on his best day. Yes.
Exactly. I was going to make that comparison. He's a
Is
prototype.
that the virus or was that lunch?
Yeah, they could have got Chuck Norris to play him. That would have been funny.
Yeah, Chuck Norris kills.
Chuck Norris is.
He was
Dick
Air Force.
Manchek.
And he could just use the line from Cobra: "You're the virus. I'm the cure."
This is where her problem is a problem.
Yes.
And she's been awake for like 3 days or something, apparently. So, and now she thinks she's staring at pictures of boobs like we used to do on dot matrix printers. Those who remember dot matrixes.
God, matrix printers. Oh man,
we
you
could
are
make
making me
boobs
feel
on
my
those.
age now, man.
We could
Good
print
Lord.
boobs on them.
Wow.
Yeah, you've not played Lunar Lander until you play it on a dot matrix printer.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
The fake tits
Here you go. It clearly said. I don't know if you've shown the slide yet, but it clearly said no. What does it say? It says no growth, right?
Zero growth.
And she is stunned by it. Now, what stunned her? What stunned her?
What stunned her was that.
Stunned.
Well, wait a minute. What stunned her was that for that slide in red, the letters.
Okay, I'm not trying to give it away, is what I'm telling you. I was
he's
I'm
not
trying not to give it away. I'm
foreshadowing.
I'm wondering what has stunned her, and at this point in the movie, I'm like,
and once once she starts reacting again, you're wondering why she's not like immediately on the comm to everybody else, like, "Hey guys."
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, hey, maybe she's been possessed by this thing.
Maybe she's an evil villain who wants to destroy mankind, and she's infiltrated.
Yeah. I thought it was a cool subplot, man. It
was. Yeah.
I hadn't really made much of the fact that she was tired in the first scene.
Well, even before she was picked up to be brought here, she said she'd been up all night, all day, and all night working on a experiment. So I think she was thinking back to the anal probing in the in the room, and she was just reliving it.
No wonder she wanted a cigarette.
This has, this does have something connected directly to even H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, in that in the end, the answer that they've been looking for was the easiest answer that they should have thought of. right from the beginning.
Right. Wow.
With the two survivors.
Yeah.
They should have just gone out and got pissed. That would have been the easy answer.
Well, I mean, they say it in Shaun of the Dead. We'll just go to the Winchester, have a pint, and wait for this all to blow over.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That's the classic.
I remember getting so angry about the whole dogs don't look up thing. I'm like, yes, they do. All the time.
Now they're starting to argue about the nature of this.
Whoever
place.
says that has never had a dog and had food in the same room.
Exactly.
Right? Or
Like,
watch,
dogs
or come over to
look
my
up.
house and watch my wife cook. Tell me if dogs don't look up. They're sitting there right at their feet, going,
Of course they
"Gonna
do.
drop something? Gonna drop
I
something?"
actually forgot to mention earlier. I love the 24-hour clock that they've got on the wall. It's a 24-hour clock.
It's a 24-hour clock.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I
cool.
did notice
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's very cool.
And then the other clock, which we have yet to see working, but we will.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
clock you don't want to see working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That's the countdown to doomsday.
So
That's
one man
it.
show's got a good point. The computer system found no growth, but it doesn't bother to make a record of it. It just flashes it up on the screen.
Yeah,
when it's gone.
Right.
I was
Of course
thinking the
there's a
same
record
thing.
of it.
We're not recording this process, aren't we? Trying to prove this to
right.
other people eventually. I mean,
it should've
Well, yeah, but
stopped there
you have
and
to
then-
remember what disk capacity was like in 1971.
oh, you mean
K and not
magnetic
megs.
tape capacity, maybe?
Well, there is
You
a
had to have it somewhere to write it to mag tape. You didn't
Right.
generally stream it
Yeah.
to it.
Okay.
I mean,
There
this
is a scene-
technology is, these computers barely had enough memory to remember your name.
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene earlier, which obviously we don't have the audio on, we couldn't hear, but there's a voiceover in the PA going, each section needs to remember to book their computer time and download the whatever to the memory bank and blah, blah, blah. So they're dealing with that in here, in the background. Like, they've only got so much memory, so much time
They
on the
just,
computer.
by the way, guys, they just gave it the virus the name. The code name has been
Yeah.
given.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Andromeda.
It's Andromeda.
Yeah.
But they're
And then we
also
get
at the
the-
teletype machine.
Yeah, this
And
is when they
found
find out
out
that the
that
teletype
there's
machine
shit
doesn't
going
work.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, and these guys go, why have you been ignoring our messages? And then Stone goes, well, why haven't you nuked the town yet? He says, Stone, you seem to want to nuke this
Are
town.
these
Did you
guys
grow up there or
film critics
something?
or government officials?
Have you got something against West Texas? You know?
That's great.
He's just an urban
We
sophisticated.
need to
kid,
nuke the
small
town for the
towns.
entire continent's safety. The fact that my ex-wife lives there has nothing to do with it.
There's nothing whatsoever to do
Show
with
us on the map where it hurt you.
Right.
Yeah, his ex-wife is there. Yeah, that's a
it.
good
Oh
one.
man.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So,
I'm trying to
no, I
remember
love the
what is
little-
this here.
I love the little paper bag. That they're
Yeah.
going to deliver it in. It's a little tiny paper bag. And then they're going to put a bow in it and deliver it as a present.
Yay.
So they've realised by now, because of the plane crash, that it eats plastic, etc. Well, not in here they haven't, but outside.
Well,
Polychron.
at least it won't pay,
Polychron.
at least it won't chew through their paper clothes. Good
That's
barrier, huh?
right. They will not die naked. Which is a relief for us. Hey,
Yes,
I
it
had a
is.
Commodore 64. I had one of those.
My first one was a Macintosh. I can't even remember what series it was.
Before that, I had a Sinclair ZX81. And I had a Commodore 64.
The most one I can remember having was
Yeah,
a
Commodore.
Commodore Amiga.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we were using
they were
Apple IIs in freaking school.
Yeah, and you had your cassette recorder for data and all that stuff.
I took my first programming course on a steam-driven Hewlett-Packard with a mark card reader and a teletype machine on the top. This shit looks so high-tech to me, I can't even tell you.
That's right, yeah.
Steam driven.
Oh, Vince has still got his 64. I wish I had mine. I got rid of it. I wish I'd kept all that stuff. I had all that good stuff from those days. Yeah. So now they're getting into the crystalline part.
You know, like they actually get to see the virus for the thing for the first time.
Yeah.
The thing, yes.
Because it's not a virus.
Yeah, it's not anything they've ever seen before.
Yep. Crystalline in nature, if I recall.
So Sean says together, Vince and I could get to the moon. You only need a pocket calculator to get to the moon. That's all the memory you need.
Pretty
all the
much.
computing power.
That's all they had.
Yeah. And the computing power of a pocket calculator. Which is kind of,
why so serious?
Yeah, you don't need.
Well, a lot of the calculations were made on Earth in IBM.
Yeah, book after book,
slightly more powerful.
Well, I mean that was the limiting factor back then. Is like you had to vent all the heat from all those Asians doing math.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, Neil Armstrong flew the bloody lunar landing module by the seat of his pants to land. I mean, there was no pre-programmed where press the button, land here. He was flying that thing.
There's a meme that's been going around lately. It's like 128K put man on the moon, 16 gigs of RAM. Please don't open Chrome.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, sentient dildo, absolutely.
Smoke some Andromeda Strain, you'll be on the moon. Fly me to the moon. I'm happy to report that this stream is streaming on Odyssey. There's nobody watching it, but it's streaming. So that's a good test. The test is that it works.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What do we have watching here?
Well, we've still got a fair crowd. I mean, it's diminished a bit as we've continued, as obviously the movie is sending people to sleep. But
well, this one's hard. Okay,
It's hard to split into images.
Yeah, I'm going to pitch this movie again. This movie in stills is not the same thing as the inexorable. Do you feel like you're on one of those slide walks? Except where it's taking you, one of those, they use them in airports. Except you're looking ahead and going, I don't want to go there, but I can't get off.
Yeah,
that's this movie.
Actually, it is. But looking back at that set where she's standing in front of that console, you can see some Star Trek set similarity as well there.
Yes.
Yeah, some of those sets with the consoles are it must have been reused as well, some of that equipment.
You just kind of recolor things and put some greeblies around and there you go.
Well, it's like you said about, what was it, Outland 70s, that they just taped a calculator to the wall?
Yep.
Yeah,
they did. They installed a calculator in the wall, changed the labels.
Yeah. But it looked good, yeah. It's functional. Form follows function.
Me and Vince are over there now. You got two watching.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a test. I wanted to try that today, and
actually,
I do want to do some Odyssey only stuff as well.
Yeah.
Actually, the comparison to Outland in some ways is actually pretty apt, because Outland, we talked about how good the set design was on Outland.
And this is where
whole
they start
facility,
arguing.
They flip out when they see those maps. Yeah.
This whole facility is absolutely believable, and these maps are this is one of those moments where we find out
you realize why that virus is here. It wasn't an accident,
right?
No, they were looking for it.
And now we find out that Stone knows a lot more than he's talking about. Yeah.
Right.
This is a biological research.
That map on the left, you see the distortion of the map on the left versus the United States on the right, the states outlines. That map on the left is a biological warfare impact map. That's what that represents. That's why the states are
Sean
distorted.
Connery one, Vince. Yes, the Sean Connery one. Yep.
You know the movie where they're in a plastic space station, but run around with shotguns with 1/6 the Earth's gravity.
We did it a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
the similarity.
The hell out of that movie.
It's high noon in space. That's what it is.
That's all it is.
But it's hard science fiction as well. It's a believable scientific future that they're living in with the equipment that was shown and the mining operation.
Everything looked cool. It's one of my
other than the gravity, it would have looked like that.
I love
the gravity.
I love the way you say that's. Wait a minute. I love the way you said that's all it is. First of all, High Noon is a great movie. I mean, you could also say that the Seven Samurai and what's the movie with Steve McQueen?
Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven is just the Seven Samurai in Arizona.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a great story. They chose a different place to tell it.
Well, High Noon.
No, I'm not belittling it at all.
Well, that's all it is. I sounded like it. That's all. That's all. It is a wonderful, serious morality tale.
Mm-hmm. So the thing about High Noon and Outland is it's not a tale about a guy shooting some other guys. It's a redemption story.
Yes.
And a story of a guy finding his true inner strength when he's been weak. And,
it's also
and other people around are weak. Yeah.
It's also a film about choking sex and how Sicking's character went too far and died in the locker.
Yeah. Well, as we all do.
Self-asphyxiation's a hell of a drug.
As you do.
Yeah. What's his name from Kung Fu found that out, didn't he?
Yeah, the NXS guy.
David Carradine, yeah.
Yeah, here's where we finally find out what's affecting her. Yeah.
Yeah. She could have killed the whole world, selfish bitch.
Yeah.
The thing I almost don't like about that is they're making the only real weak character the girl. And it's
I know. And it's a shame because she was the best character up till now.
Because she is the most interesting character in the film.
Yeah, she is. She's the one with a personality. Yeah.
Exactly. But
because
across,
of those things, she really did miss shit that they needed to know about.
Mm-hmm. But I would argue that they're making her the most human. I mean, the rest of these people, Stone in particular, is practically a robot.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Hall's not so
she's
bad,
she's the most human character in this movie.
She is
for all her for her weaknesses and her strengths.
This guy shows human emotion when he thinks he's going to die, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's interesting that Dutton there and Stone are both from Berkeley, and they're assholes. The other two are the good human ones.
Yeah, I was going to say the doctor. He has his moments. He does.
But yeah. So here he is. I don't know how does he get stuck. There's a seal breaks in the door.
The seals, the seals dissolve like the oxygen mask did
because they're the same material.
Yeah.
Yes,
it
they're
just starts
exactly
there.
The same material.
Mm-hmm. And he gets sealed in as a sealed. The door's shut as a result.
It's because of this that they learn that the virus is now inert. That it is, what do you call it? Modified itself to become something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Cheers,
it's mutated.
Katina.
Take care, Katina.
Mutated. That's
later, Katina.
Oh, bye.
But I think they also realize that the energy that it feeds on energy, and any energy that it can get.
And then also that nuking the town like they just told the president to do is a really fucking bad idea.
Yes.
Right. But this is again Crichton's hard science fiction coming in, because I mean, if something's going to survive in space, it doesn't have oxygen, it can't metabolize things the way things on Earth do. The closest we have to this organism are those things that live around the deep smokers in the ocean, where they basically live on the heat energy coming out of these
not to mention they live in a very acidic environment.
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't use light, they don't use any of the things.
No photosynthesis, nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this was long before we discovered those things. This is part of the reason why I love Crichton, is that he basically forecast those those totally alien life forms on the bottom of the ocean with this thing, because it has to be that way.
Read what's sitting in Dildo's throat.
He's killing it, man.
Oh my God!
Sentient dildo always kills it.
Man.
He does.
And government employee.
He's killed a few things, I believe.
None of you who haven't worked for the government before can really understand why that's as funny
All of us
as
that
it
served
is.
in the military know it really well.
Yeah,
When I was in the Air Force, we were saying, it's good enough for government business.
Well, I mean,
just on the tolerance.
Well, when they adopted the L-85, didn't the soldiers nickname it the civil servant because it doesn't work and you can't fire it?
Yeah.
It's always hurry up and wait when I was in the service.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. We missed the slide where the drunk looked in the screen and said, "This is a hell of a way to run the hospital."
Hell of a way to run a hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. Now this is where he's telling the doctor to start huffing.
Yeah. Cheers, Vince.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
long,
for being
Vince.
here, man.
Good night, Vince.
Take care, Vince.
And Katina, have a good night.
D review.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And the mouse is up doing cartwheels. What's
the
up?
mouse is eating that shit now.
Yeah.
It's like that's incredible.
And thus crack was invented.
It's
crystal meth, more like it. Crystal.
Right now, the shit is about to hit the fan now.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and remember all those panels that were not wired up on each level.
Of course, they get locked in with one, right?
Like, that's one of those movie scenes where you're just like, that might be important later.
Could be important, yeah. But yeah, and if the nuke goes off, it's going to create a super colony of plastic-eating, morphing shit.
So this is an environmentalist's wet dream, this movie.
It is. We can send the world back to a gentler age.
Yeah, but okay, if you've watched or read anything about nanotechnology, the worst case scenario in nanotechnology is called the gray goo scenario.
That's right. Yeah.
And this is coming close to that right now. They're facing the potential for a gray goo scenario. It may not eat all the people, but it'll probably eat 90% of everything else.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And by 1971, plastics were in use in an awful lot of
I was gonna say everything was being made out of plastic, wasn't it? I mean,
yes, pretty much, including clothing, which might be interesting for one.
Imagine what would happen to the medical industry if something like
it
this
would
was
just
released.
disappear overnight.
Oh God, yeah. They'd be back to leeching people.
3 people watching over on Odyssey.
Excellent.
Good to see them there. Yeah.
Hello, Odysseyites.
Hello, Odyssey people.
Hello, people in Freedom Land.
And the drunk is ready for action.
The drunk's ready for action. This is now they're finally getting to the bit where the sexual tension is so high they're cutting through the condom.
That's it.
At the same time, like these guys are all doctors and scientists. You think somebody would be like, this guy drinks Sterno, and we're going to trust him.
Yeah.
Fair.
You're going to trust what he has to say to us for factual information, right?
You just have to promise him Sterno. He'll be trustworthy. He'll do anything.
Hey, he's more reliable than the head of the Department of Sociology at Berkeley.
Fair.
But
That's fair.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like the fact that Hall here decides to take the initiative and actually try and stop this.
And once again, I think they reused this column here and dressed it up for the Warp Core in the motion picture.
The Warp Core was pre-built for Star Trek elsewhere, but you may be right as to where they moved it because the set that they used was kind of messed up. I'm going to look this shit up, dude. I am going to look it up.
Because it's a number of sets I see here that look really, really familiar.
Well, I'll tell you what this reminded me of. I don't know why it did, but the lasers being shot at him made me think of the movie, one of the few movies that Gene Simmons actually played in was actually decent. He was a bad guy in a movie called Runaway with
I remember that movie.
Tom Selleck. And those lasers that
Michael Crichton wrote that one too.
Did he? That's not surprising at all.
Not a bad movie, Joe.
But that's what it made me think of, those lasers, especially when he got shot in the cheek. Because
I saw that, and even I went, "Ow!"
Yeah, that's. I was like, "Ow!" Yeah,
So
that's
the
a
thing
hole
is,
in the face.
Do you think this is 1970, 71? Do you think laser targeting systems would have been more effective and actually have killed him and stopped him? Because he gets hit twice, I think.
No, there's a line 70s that the lasers are powered. The power of the lasers is designed for small animals.
Small animals.
Right.
Yeah.
It will only kill you if it hits you in the spine, he says.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that getting a burn on the cheek. I mean, I've gotten burns working in food
that's
service.
also
I worked with hot glass for years. I had it hit
let
me,
Richard
and
finish.
it hurts.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
Oh, it hurts, but it doesn't necessarily put you in shock.
no. I thought. See, yeah, you're talking about his blurred vision and not being able to move.
I thought that was
well.
because of the psychotropic
I
gas.
thought it was because of the gas as well.
It's the
too,
gas
though.
and also the stress of the situation, I guess, and the whole panic. And
Yeah, but the stress of the situation gives you adrenaline, which lets you power through a lot
You would
of
think.
things
You would think.
like this.
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't
shock.
so much that I thought that the lasers would kill him,
Yes.
but I just thought the targeting of them would be better so they could hit him more often.
Well,
Because
they
he doesn't
wouldn't.
get
They
hit
wouldn't.
that
Let's
often.
put it this way: that targeting system wouldn't hit a rat. It
No.
would miss.
Well,
For
it
sure.
doesn't say anything, by the way,
Very
guys.
good.
Let you know. I looked up on the making of the film through AMC, and information that it has is nothing about the sets, but all of the diopters that were used in this film for the split diopter scenes were used on Star Trek.
Okay, so it would stand to reason that they'd reuse
Now,
a lot
hang
of
on here. Who is this woman?
That's his wife.
That's his wife.
I thought he was single. That's why they gave him
I'm telling
the
you, I
key.
think the gas is affecting him. I'm pretty sure
He's the
that's
single guy. That's why he's
Oh,
got
shit,
He is
who
the
the hell
single
is
guy.
that?
That's why he's
That
the
is.
odd man.
So I don't know if she's real
Why is
or
he-
whether
wow.
Well, there are assistants running around.
there are
especially on
people
higher
in the
levels.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
thought
she's
that-
got the same color on as the floor, so that
I
makes
just
sense.
didn't
Yeah.
know whether she was real or he just imagined it, or whether he was just horny again. You know?
But this is reminiscent of the laser scenes in the Tom Selleck Gene Simmons movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Very reminiscent.
yeah, the blurred, squashed visuals and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This whole scene made me think that he was starting to maybe get affected by Andromeda initially, and then
We have to dial it up one more time. He gets the key in, but he can't turn it.
Of course. It's got to be drama.
No countdown clock can ever stop with more than 10 seconds on it. That is Hollywood rules.
That's right. Yeah.
And he couldn't stop it with 7 seconds left because James Bond had already done it.
That's a Bond thing.
That's a Bond thing.
So now they're moving on to the inducing weather to rain on the virus or something, aren't they? I don't know how they obviously had weather changing technology even then.
Well, they were talking about cloud seeding and shit like that, which we've known was a thing since this time period.
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of silver dioxide does wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've saved the day, kind of, but then again.
But then again,
the
maybe
last
not.
report, the final report.
We saved the day by doing nothing.
And
The
I
best
guess-
government employees ever.
That's right, yes. But we spent a lot of money doing nothing. So
Exactly.
So are we supposed to assume, though, that Andromeda itself, the little rock, was just out there floating in space because that's the way it was, or was it intentionally sent out there by an alien?
Well, they never answered that
species?
question.
No, I mean, is it just a random thing and it's out there anyway and it just lives and does its thing? Or was it a weapon that was sent out across the galaxy?
Well,
multiples of them.
I don't think Crichton went to that level with this. I think he was just like,
No.
this could be out there. We have no idea.
Yeah.
What the hell are we going to do
it's
if it
similar
happens?
to what's discussed in Sphere, too.
Yeah. Yeah, they go
And I
down
think,
and do all this thinking
that's
it's all this
alien.
alien technology,
Yep.
except it's not.
And it could be, but I think Rager had the worst scenario, which is the nanotechnology one, a machine-based race in the galaxy that had reached a certain stage of evolution, or would send out nanobot replicating probes, which could basically eat your entire solar system.
Well, I mean, there's a couple, basically catastrophic races like that in Stellaris, where basically it's an organic race that discovered nanotech and it went wrong. And
Yeah.
everything is
And
now
it
grey
could
goo.
very well go wrong. That is a very real possibility. There's Kermit Murdoch. See, the Muppets were in here.
Exactly.
Excellent.
And not just on this side of the screen.
Yeah, and not just the same. Yeah. So so Dildo's right. That guy, poor scientist that Paul there that got shot by the lasers. He is about to be jailed for not getting the correct authority to turn that key.
It's true.
He'll probably spend the rest of his life in prison.
And he's lucky. They used to hang you for that shit back in the day.
Yeah. So there it was. Now, I'd like to ask those who are, and thank you in the chat for sticking with us for 3 hours of Andromeda Strain. We've taken a 2-hour movie and stretched it out to 3. But let us know in the chat what you think of the movie. Is it good, bad? Rate it any way you like. Just give us your comments while we in the panel consider our feelings about it. I think I'd probably like to start with my friend Imperatus. After all that, what's your thoughts, my friend?
I liked it. I mean, again, just because I said the movie was dry doesn't mean I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it's, considering the age of the film and the topic they were trying to tackle at the point in time that the movie was done. And as you guys were saying earlier, there wasn't really a whole lot of good, hard science fiction at that point. I think it did what it was set out to do.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's, there's been influences on later films that came?
Oh,
after?
for sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in different genres, too. I mean,
Yeah.
This is nothing like Star Trek. And you can see some of the influences, maybe just the set designs.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a little bit of an alien vibe from it, too, with some of the sets. How everything looked functional. Almost everything had a purpose.
Yep.
I was thinking that there's a little bit of the feeling of it in later Michael Crichton stuff.
Yeah.
Like Westworld, potentially. There's some of those are fairly filmed in a fairly matter-of-fact way as well, although there's more action and threat in those in a sense. But,
even a little bit in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah.
How that had a very hard... It was science fiction, but it was a very hard science.
Yeah.
No, cloning isn't exactly, commonplace even in this day and age. Yeah, it's a thing, but that was, again, I think that was the first movie that had something to do with clones and cloning that wasn't a complete goofball film.
Yeah.
Like Clonus, the parts horror.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Pope, your closing thoughts on this movie?
No, I enjoyed it as well. Like Imperator said, it's not the most riveting thing you'll have ever seen, but for the subject matter it's trying to cover and the method in which it's being done, it's excellently done. And most of the things they get right, which I always appreciate. And the only thing I really didn't enjoy about it was the soundtrack, which was just like nails on a chalkboard at times. But that was the point.
That was the point. Yeah.
So overall, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. No, that's good to hear, mate. Good to hear. Yeah. Joe, my friend, what's your thoughts of this in the canon of movies?
In the canon of movies, I had always known about this one, but like I said, I just watched it about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I enjoyed it, man. I like the documentary style movies, and it only works if you have a cast like they had, with that didn't have any preconceived personalities in it. And I thought the more human elements of it were what built the tension. The guys trying to fix the teletype thing when it was a piece of paper in the bell, you knew that was going to have consequences down the line. And trying to figure out what was wrong with our conspiracy theorist girl in the whole story. She was obviously had something going on with her, and to come to find out that it wasn't all as insidious as we thought, that it was just epilepsy, and that's what was going on. She was reacting to different things there. I thought those were some of the best parts of the movie, right down to the alcoholic Yeah, giving them information. It was the guys that were outside of that scientific blend that really were magnified, I thought. So I enjoyed it.
That's almost the CSI part of it in a sense. They followed up the little clues that tried to build the big picture, which was the procedural part. Yeah, but no, good stuff. Good, some good comments there, mate. It was interesting because you had just seen it. Like I mean, some of us had seen it years ago, and then several times since.
I knew about it. You know what? And Gary's probably going to slap me when I meet him in person.
No, I'm not.
But there's certain movies I just not have gotten around to seeing. This is one of them. The biggest one that people always get mad at me about is The Shawshank Redemption. I've still never seen that movie. I just have never found the time to watch it, But I shy away from prison stories anyway, so I don't want to know about prison.
Boy, I sure don't.
You like gladiator movies too, though, man.
Fuck yeah.
He's been to a Turkish prison.
Look,
the whole night.
Read Sentient Dildo's comment. Next one.
Gary loves hard science.
He nails me, man. Hard science, man.
Just one other thing, Joe. Though, when you having just seen it, did it feel dated to you, or did it still feel fresh?
No, parts of it. This is a film that is a period piece. That's why I dislike the new series, the miniseries. Get the fuck off me. The new miniseries, because it is a period piece. It doesn't work as a story today. It doesn't work the same way because we don't do things that way. And so therefore, that film stands out. And like I said, the only thing that was weak in it is that one glowing effect that they did for UV. And it's like, that's not what it looks like. It would be just purple. They get lit like a black light, and that's it. And shit would be burned off the surface of their bodies. But past that, I thought it was really well done. The science is all right. There was that one thing, a difference of meters, and you don't want to fuck up with that. That's important, because how are we going to fill this balloon up? Are we going to use big M or little M? Well, one's going to fucking pop it.
Always go big.
Always go big.
I think the bit about the cleaning, the decontam bit where they did their bodies, I mean, the fact they didn't do their heads was a real miss, because you wouldn't just say, "Oh, you know what? It's only the head. It's not going to be a problem." You'd have to do the entire body.
Yeah, you would have to. They would have to close their eyes
and lose their hair.
And lose their
hair, eyebrows, everything. They'd have to build it in the ears.
Same thing. Bringing up Sphere again, they fucked up with Sphere. The first thing they do that is made a major point in the book is that they are so many leagues down. Okay. And you cannot breathe oxygen that low. So you get a lot of, helium gets mixed in. So voices go up a few pitches. And so in the film, they should have had them wear devices around their necks that lowered the voice, because that is clearly something anybody who knows anything about scuba diving knows, that you mix your gases. And as low as they were talking high pitched. And it's mentioned several times in the book that they had to get used to it.
Well, there's always an easy way when you're scuba diving to adjust your, your height in the water and back. Just, expel enough gases and you can rise or fall, depending on.
And now we're back to the fart joke.
Who needs
those fucking fart jokes? I looked at you for a second and went, "Oh, he's not serious."
I am deadly serious. So
I'm sorry, I'm reading Kitty Bear's comment right now. The funniest movie I ever watched is Cujo, when I placed VHS in the Beethoven box.
Oh,
my sister.
Nice. Oh God, that would be funny. Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
funny,
wow.
funny. So, thanks, Gary, for your pithy comments. You pithed all over those comments. Well done, sir.
Everywhere.
Yeah, Sentient Dildo, the best looking chick, was dead with a peace sign necklace on,
That's
man.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, that nurse was actually pretty cute too.
Yes, she was.
Cute. Yeah,
she was.
So
this movie.
Go ahead, sir.
All right, this movie absolutely blew me away the first time I saw it. I will admit that watching it now, it is you know, there are parts of it that are dated, and it is obviously very much a period piece. But I have to compare it, and I should say contrast it, with 2001: A Space Odyssey. They're both science fiction stories. They're both science fiction movies. This movie doesn't get enough appreciation. I think it's underrated because it's understated. It doesn't have the Stanley Kubrick weird ass, you know, alien scenes with the psychedelic colors. It's very cut and dried from beginning to end. It's done in a documentary style. It doesn't look like a science fiction movie. Think about it for a minute. Can you think of any other science fiction movie that people still talk about that isn't completely lost to history, that has a procedural, you know, thread through it that says, this is what we did to figure this thing out and do this and do that and do this and do that? It's unique as a movie in the science fiction genre. I don't know of any other movie that even comes close. That said, do I think it's a good movie? I think it's a great movie, personally. It's been a favorite of mine for years. That's why I begged that 70s rock fan to let me come on today, and he was kind enough to do that. This movie
$20
is a lot
is $20
better.
red shirt. $20 is $20.
Oh yeah, the check's in the mail, dude. This movie is actually, it suffers from familiarity breeds contempt, they say. This movie suffers from our familiarity with technology. We can say, oh yeah, if you put people in this room and expose them to that, it wouldn't look like that. We know that now. We didn't know that back then. Nobody had ever done it. At least not that I knew of when I was, I don't know, 10 years old or whatever when I saw this thing. This thing just blew me away. And this movie blew me away. And I still think it's a very good movie. I love Michael Crichton as an author. So this is one of my favorite movies made from his books. So I'm going to stop right there.
As Joe said, I've always heard about this movie, but I never got around to seeing it until last night. I'm kind of glad I did. It's one of those cinema that you hear people talk about, and like Redshirt said, I would agree. I think it is kind of understated because it is such a documentary style. It's very dry. It's a very you guys just used the word too, and I can't even think of it.
Well, it's like a procedural.
Yeah, it's a procedural. It's very procedural.
Well, you look at Michael Crichton, and I'll say this, very plainly. He has hit the mark every decade for 5 decades before he died.
Yeah.
Every decade, there was shit that was going on that we enjoyed, that he created, that pushed the envelope one way or another, including the fucking 90s with ER.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Wait. Michael Crichton did ER?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he's one of the creators.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did a lot of medical stuff. Coma. If you've never seen Coma, man, watch that. That'll scare the shit out of you.
He'd written medical stuff.
I'll tell you what. Just go to
name
IMDb. Wait a minute. Just go to IMDb. Look up Michael Crichton. Look up based on or screenplays, and find every movie that was based on one of his stories. And that's a watch list, I guarantee you.
It'll take a while to watch, yeah.
He did go to medical school, which is why he wrote books under a pen name about medical stuff years ago.
Yeah, because he actually worked in the medical field, releasing short stories and shit like that under the pen name. And then in '69, he finally was inspired, like I said, from reading the Ipcris file, because he did a review on it at the university. And he's like, fuck this. I'm going to write my own thing. And he wrote it, used his name, and it was called Andromeda Strain. And it blew people away. This guy came out of nowhere, dude.
Yeah, so he's always been one of my favorite authors. And I think this movie gets less celebrated than many of his others because it was the first. Well, it was the first under his own name that he wrote as a novel, and then the first one that was turned into a movie. in that way. So it's less celebrated than Westworld and Jurassic Park and many others that came later. Nothing wrong with that. That's because they were huge successes. But I've always loved it. I mean, I certainly recall the first time I saw it, I was absolutely thrilled with it and thought it was the smartest thing I'd ever seen. And it still has that smartness in it because it isn't trying to be an action movie. It's not got a monster.
And just so you know, Malcolm is based on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that.
He has because everything he has ever written is a cautionary tale of science gone awry.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of a smartass with how he goes about certain things.
Oh yeah, he is. He's very smart.
He is. Read his speeches.
He that line is so him that Malcolm says in the film, your scientists are so caught into being, am I able to do a thing, and not asking the question, should I do a thing?
Oh, that and
That's
that,
him.
by the way, we haven't mentioned it, but that's here. That's in this movie. It's just not.
Every
it's just
story
not
he has is
rammed in your face the way Malcolm did in Jurassic Park.
There's some subtle
It
lines.
was the intentional catching of this alien bug.
Please, guys, let me just say this. Stone knows why this facility was created, Wildfire. It is to develop weapons. He knows that. That we've gotten from this movie. That they got something in Scoop that got away from them is the basis of this story.
Is basically us being monkeys playing with fire.
If it hadn't gotten away from them, what would they have done with it?
Yeah, but the scoop itself, that is the warning. That is the hubris that he's talking about, is that this was intentionally caught and brought down.
Mm-hmm. And that's a strain through a lot of his stuff too. Is we brought this on ourselves, because we were basically either too arrogant or we didn't really understand what we were playing with.
Yeah.
Well, you know, everybody has talked about how it's a little bit dated and all that stuff, but the scene where she has the epileptic fit, that's timeless right there. Imagine today, in the days of the virus, somebody dropping down on a street corner. How many people would jump to help them out?
Right.
In today's days of masks and all that good stuff. You saw those people. They were scared out of their minds. They're about to run. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So anyway, guys, I'm gonna peel it. I'm gonna start to wrap it up a bit, and I'll just do my final comments as I was trying to do before Gary interrupted me.
Fuck you.
So yeah, as I say, not one of his most celebrated books because of the time factor. I think. I mean, we are talking about a movie that's 50 years old or over 50 years old.
51.
51.
I love the fact it's a hard science fiction techno thriller with procedural stuff. I like that. There's no monster leaping out of a chest, although I love those movies too, don't get me wrong. I just like the fact that it was intelligent, it was following a process and a pattern, it was a race against time, and I like the fact they didn't have name actors in it. It just the movie was, the plot sold itself. It didn't need name actors, and I think the tension came out of the scenarios themselves rather than overwriting it to be, oh my god, there's a shock here and a shock there. The tension was already written into it, so it didn't have to have a lot of action or whatever. So it's always been a love of mine, and that's why I like to do these streams, so we can do movies that I feel are a little bit overlooked now or underappreciated, and we've done a few of those. And to me, this is one of the greats. I think it's an underlooked movie, and I'm glad that you were all here today to talk about it and show it such affection, and everyone in the chat enjoyed it, I hope. So thanks to you all for liking and knowing this movie and appreciating it so much and being here to talk about it. I really do appreciate that. But before we go, and I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there is a progressive metal band called Nocturnus who actually have a song called Andromeda Strain, and I say I'm not going to play it all because I'll get.
Didn't we talk about them on the prog rock?
We might have. But this is their song Andromeda Strain.
Yeah, I have heard of these guys. Okay.
I love that artwork.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't want to play too much of it because this is the shit that'll get me knackered. But I quite like it though. Not sure there's any lyrics, but I would advise everyone to go and look that one up on YouTube. Nice. Nocturnus, Andromeda Strain. I've listened to it a few times. I enjoy it. So there was a couple. I think somebody did some kind of opera about it once. Or it was a live symphonic concert about it. But so anyway, just before we wrap up, I'd like to thank everyone that was on Odyssey. First of all, we got Vince and Sean and a couple of guys over on the Odyssey side who went over there so it wasn't empty. Thank you for doing that, guys. And that stream seemed to work pretty good. So there may be some Odyssey. Subscribe to me over in Odyssey because if anybody wants to, because I'm going to do some separate streams there where we can talk a little bit more freely about stuff. But in the chat, everyone that was here today, we had quite a big crowd at one point. So thanks to them all for being here. Katie Bear, Christian, Sentient Dildo, thanks for all your modding and being here. Same for Lord Thoth. Appreciate it, mate. Always appreciate your presence. Vince, top man. Katina was here. Sean Estep, thanks for your contributions. Who am I forgetting, people? Remind me. Dustin, Kate was Simple was here. We had Clobbering Times, Sergeant Herbs, One Man Show.
Mila was here.
Yeah, that's right. Anyone can think of any other names I've missed?
I saw lovely Sherry in here at one point.
Sherry was here. Thank you for being here. She is indeed lovely. Chris Mead, another great contributor to D-Bud Martin. How could we forget D-Bud? Top man, absolute top man. Stephen Ransom, good lad. Nerporial was here for a while, and that's a big honor. Always good to see him. Darius wasn't on the show today, but he was in the chat, and I will not let him forget that he wasn't here. How could I do a show without my co-executive assistant, second director? And yeah, if I forgot anybody, Liger fan, my apologies, but thank you all for being here. So just quick go around the panel so you can all let everybody know what you're up to.
Well, for me, might actually be streaming later tonight. I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be playing some Elden Ring with Sergeant Herbs later. Nice. And I may decide to throw that up and stream it just so you can watch us suffer. Well, him suffer. I don't suck at that game. Thursday, me and Foulball Productions should be doing some gaming. I don't know. The past couple of weeks, he's been busy, so see what happens with that. Friday, Foulball again. Should be on his stream this week. My work schedule isn't retarded, so that'll help. Other than that, the usual routine for me, being lazy about doing some album reviews. Not going to lie about that.
All right, thanks, mate. No, looking forward to those, and appreciate your input today. Cheers, man.
Yeah, it was a good flick. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Pope. Nah, you're done. I'll move on.
Well,
I love the t-shirt, by the way. Love the t-shirt.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to be doing a review of the show that I went to last night at some point this week. I'll sit down, record my thoughts on it, and upload the pictures I took. It was absolutely a fantastic time, and you guys should absolutely check these guys out if they come to your area, because it was a rocking good time. And then I'll be doing a review of Megadeth's new album this week at some point, again, whenever I record it. And then on Sunday, we will be covering Goth Minister on Rock and Roll Religion with Riding Raven.
You have fun with that.
That should be a lot of fun.
Cool. Look forward to that, mate. Good stuff. Thanks again for being here. Appreciate it.
Always.
Joe, brother.
Hey, how
what
you
doing?
I am going to be next streaming at 11 o'clock tonight on Twitch. I do Papa Joe Gamer up way too late. Video games, cocktails, and fails for about 3 hours on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Nice.
And I'll be doing that. And I've got State of the Atmosphere. I'm going to start doing on Wednesdays, just live streaming with the chat, seeing what's going on. Thursdays, the talk show with my brother. Saturdays, sketching the Privateer, working on the comic book. I'm staying busy, man. And the NFL is in full swing. I'm fixing to go watch my Seahawks get their butt handed to them by this guy right here.
Well, you go fondle your sports balls, and I hope you have fun.
I'm going to.
Roger, my friend.
Yes. Tomorrow night, I'm expecting to be on Toxic Tuesday with 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. We're going to be talking about a movie. I don't know if he's announced it yet, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah, it's Midnight Run.
Yeah, he said it was Midnight Run.
Yeah, he said that last week.
Well, then we're going to be talking about the movie Midnight Run, which I've never seen, so I'm going to have to watch it.
Charles Grodin, awesome.
Yes, Charles Grodin.
The late great.
Doing that, and then since I was traveling Friday, I wasn't on the MF for Cocktail Lounge, but I will be on the MF for Cocktail Lounge this Friday evening on Foul Ball Productions channel.
All right, buddy, and I will see you on both of those because I'll be on Toxic
right.
2 and on Foul Ball 2. So see you then, mate. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Gary.
Hey!
Your internet made it.
Yeah, it survived the show. So Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch Martin and I, along with Keith most of the time. Sometimes I don't wake him up because I know he worked all night. But we do our show every day, Monday through Friday. And on Tuesdays, Mondays with you here, Tuesdays on Toxic Tuesday. And then on Friday, we have TGIF. And on Saturdays, we have Saturday Morning Fun Time. But funny thing is, we're not doing one this week because we're going to be going to a con. But the following week, we're going to have some fun. We're actually going to have 3 of my childhood best friends on the show to tell nutty stories about me and what it was like growing up with me.
High school shower stories. High school shower stories, I'm assuming.
Oh, boy. The Yoda. The baby Yoda.
Yeah, I love this thing. It keeps most of the cats away.
Thank you, everybody, again for being here. I'll be on Toxic Tuesday tomorrow night on Nick's channel, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. We're doing Midnight Run. I got a new video I'm hopefully going to get out later tonight on a Korean show that I loved called Mr. Sunshine. And
was that good?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
What's it about? Just real quick.
It's a historical romance drama, so be prepared.
All right, because I saw it and I added it to my list.
It's not genre, it's historical romance drama. Characters are brilliant, the script is brilliant, the cinematography is outstanding, and everyone will weep at the end. But so I'm going to do that and other stuff, so who knows. But thanks all for being here. Appreciate it very much. We will see you all soon. So until then, be well and keep on rocking and good shit like that.